Thanos is coming back. Doom's coming back, or not coming back, but Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, and maybe this person's coming back, and that person's coming back, and Howard the Duck is coming back. Everybody's coming back. Question is, should they come back? Well, that's what we're going to discuss here today with myself and John Rocha. The box office, Venom doing some stuff at the box office. Maybe not as big as they thought domestically, but man, oh man, did pretty good overseas. So we'll discuss that. There's some pictures of Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news, and we're here today to discuss it with you. So let's get into it, everybody. It's myself and John Rocha. It is the Kristian Harloff Show. Let's do it. Here we go. One and all to the show. Thanks for being here today. Joining me as always every Monday, John Rocha coming off a big win there. Big win. Hey. Let's hope you can bring that kind of mojo into tonight's Yankee game because they need it.
Oh, brother, please.
It's bad.
We do. Yeah.
Mike
Judge. Paging Mike Judge.
Mike Judge?
Oh, sorry, Aaron Judge. I was thinking
Mike Judge probably hit better, to be honest. I'll tell you who is really on my last nerve right now.
Oh.
Winston A. Marshall.
Oh, no. What's he crowing about? As a Cowboys fan, he shouldn't say anything right now.
He's pretending he's a Dodgers fan. He's pretending because I lived in L.A. So, you know, I of course, never once. I've known this guy for 6 years. Never once have I heard him utter the Dodgers. And now he's talking Dodgers. And he's talking smack to me on texting like he's a Dodgers fan. It's like, he's like, what did he write? He's like, that's 2. And I'm like, who are you? I'm like, go back to the Rangers and the Cowboys stinking up the joint. He's going to defend himself on Friday talking about how he's a Dodgers fan, and I'm not buying it. As much as this is why I'm so glad that when they were going to cast Doom, do you know who his choice was?
Who?
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti is
exactly.
Doom?
So this is what I'm saying. Right.
Oh,
this is what I'm saying. None of this makes sense to me, John.
Wow. I'm going to have to confront him on our show.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow.
You better.
I did not know he was doing that. Because I bet he named the starting lineup for the Dodgers 6 seasons ago. For God's sakes, come on.
No, he probably does now because he's probably actually been watching the games. But you know, he just needed somebody to root for and to root against the Yankees. So it's embarrassing. I'll tell you, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news, and I told you about it, and you know, it's what we're leading the show here with is this Thanos stuff, and I'm sure you heard about it, right?
Yeah, the rumors that he's coming back because of Lady Death popping up in Agatha all along. Okay.
I don't know what that necessarily means for it, but you can just explain that in just a bit. But let's get to the story itself from Dark Horizons. And Thanos returns for Avengers Secret Wars with the question mark there. Every weekend, it seems it's time for another wild Marvel or DC rumor to hit. And this weekend is a doozy. Scooper, My Time to Shine Hello, has reportedly confirmed that Josh Brolin's in talks to reprise his role as the Mad Titan Thanos for the upcoming Avengers film, presumably Secret Wars rather than Doomsday. How big a part Thanos could have isn't clear, but speculation is already flying he could be involved in the creation of Battleworld and potentially replace the main antagonist from the Secret Wars comics, the Beyonder. Despite Thanos being wiped from existence in Avengers Endgame, nothing ever truly seems dead in the MCU, especially in the multiverse saga with plenty of character variants available. Avengers Secret Wars is expected to feature a new roster of Earth's mightiest heroes, a surviving member of the original team, and some potential variants from prior Marvel movies. Filming of Doomsday kicks off in March ahead of May 1st, 2026 release. Avengers Secret Wars hasn't set a filming window as of yet, but it already has locked in a May 7th, 2027 date. Both films are going to be directed by the Russo brothers. All right, John.
Yeah.
So this is interesting, but not surprising. Am I
right?
I want to make sure here. Am I out of the?
Seems like you are.
No, I'm here. Okay, I want to make. I have too many windows open. But you know, this is something to me when I see this. It's not surprising. It also, the first thing I think of is the What If series when Thanos was in that, and he comes back and Ultron cuts him in half. You know, and it's like, okay, is it going to be one of those moments? Is he going to show up? And it's like, okay, multiverse in the same way that the Thanos in the was ultimately a multiverse Thanos that showed up in Endgame. So they can do that again, but it doesn't take away. Does it make sense? Can you get away with it? Sure. But it still kind of takes away from the juice of how much that moment meant and how they finally defeated that guy. He's like, oh, he's back again. Here you go. Now you got to fight him again, like a final boss in a video game. It's why the multiverse, I think, stinks. But I wonder what you think about this. I'm not saying that I'm against it. I'm just saying that it gets too complicated.
We're getting to the point, right, where, I mean, we're already here to the point where the band put out a new CD. No one bought the new CD.
Right.
So they went and re-recorded their greatest hits in a different way, like different versions of their greatest hits. That's what it feels like. And look, variants lets you get away with that. Why wouldn't there be another Thanos variant that maybe could break into this situation, could take the place of the Beyonder? Because in introducing the Beyonder now, this late in the game, I think you'd have to work really hard to establish. I mean, remember, they took multiple movies to establish Thanos before you actually got to experience fully who Thanos was. So we had the buildup. You're not going to get that much time with the Beyonder if you were to go that route. So it makes sense you could have a Thanos variant that would create Battle World if that's the way they're going. And now that you've introduced Lady Death in Agatha, in the comics, they have a relationship. Thanos does in Infinity Gauntlet. Thanos does all of that to woo Lady Death. He wipes out half the galaxies or whatever to woo Lady Death because she wants her bodies, as we see in Agatha. So there could be an element of that. But I do agree with you. It feels a little bit like, oh, why are we bringing him back? I understand the logic. It makes sense. You can make it make sense.
Yeah, it can make sense.
Right? And maybe this is why Josh turned down being Hal Jordan.
Right.
Because this was in play. That being said, they're going to have to work really hard to overcome some people who feel like it's just repeating what we've already seen before, you know?
Yeah, because I see someone, some of the comments, well, he's a god, he's a Titan god. It's like, sure, to you, you know that, right? And people who really know the lore, they know that. But you gotta always think of the greater audience of going, well, why is Thanos back? It's like, you can explain it and you can do that, but and I think you're right. I think it's because they say, all right, we need to get people in the theater. We need to get people excited. People got excited with Thanos. How are they going to take this guy out again? Everybody's back again. What are they going to do? And it will work. Financially, it will work. It absolutely will work. It just, will it hurt the overall story? I don't know. Yeah. Like I said in the beginning, it's not that I'm opposed to this. I'm just not sure, man.
What's the power dynamic, too? Dr. Doom with Thanos actually going to be the main person, or is Dr. Doom going to fight now Thanos? Is Thanos going to be the overwhelm? Because in the comics in Secret Wars, Doom, at least the version that I remember from the 80s, I know there's a newer version, but Doom fought with the heroes and against the heroes on Battle World. And so who is the overall villain that we're going to see here power dynamic wise? Is it Thanos all over again, or is it Doom? And so I just wonder about how they're going to split that up.
Do you think that's part of it too? The nervousness of, are we going to really be able to make Downey a villain? Yes. It's like, okay, so he's the villain, but maybe it's like every Star Wars movie. They're not really bad.
Right. People want to cheer for RDJ. So that could be a part of it. That like you make him initially villainous and he's doing these villainous things. And like we're seeing with the Penguin, where we have like, okay, he's a villain, but he's also got this sweet connection with his mom. Is he manipulating Victor? Does he really care about Victor? Is it a mixture of both? And so you have that kind of complexity. So, I agree. I think that's part of it, too. Whereas Thanos, you can make a main villain, even though there are people like me who kind of agreed with what Thanos did. There is an element of that he's overall villainous. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they're going to make this work, because it doesn't say in this rumor that they said he could be one of the main villains. Could also just show up and get split in half again like he did in What If, and they just make a move. But I think it'll be something a little bit more to that. But I think, we don't know yet, because we also still don't know. It just shows where Marvel is. We still don't know what the overall story is yet with leading up to this. We just, right now where we are, I guess they're setting up a couple things in Agatha, but nothing really to where it's like, oh, now I know where they're going. Fantastic Four is it seems to be the main piece that's going to lead into what we're about to see moving forward. Yeah. What we're not going to see, we didn't think, was Blade. But now there's a new script. That's the word on the street. The word on the street is that Marvel's Blade is getting a new script. This won't go away. a few days ago came the news that Marvel Studios' Mahershala Ali-led Blade film had been delayed from its planned November 7th, 2025 release. It wasn't all surprising, as a new director has not been announced, and there's still no word on when production will begin beyond a hope for 2025. Now, Daniel RPK is reporting that the studio is working on a brand new script for the film, and it's not clear if writer Eric Pearson remains on board. Pearson marked the 6th official writer to have a go at the script, following drafts by Michael Green, Stacey O.C. Kofir, Michael Starbury, Bo DeMeo, and Nick Pizzolatto. Marvel's Kevin Feige said back in July, the most important thing for us is not rushing it and making sure we are making the right Blade movie. Pearson's draft, which was allegedly set in the present day, was said to have been the most satisfying yet, though obviously more work needs to be done. Okay. So what I think is happening here is, there's a new script. Yeah. I still think they're going to stick with, as they should, this movie will not come out until after the Avengers and the Multiverse saga is done.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, they announced, 3 new dates in 2028 for Marvel movies to come out.
Yep.
And as I said on the hot mic last week, I have a friend, who you could say a source, who was on the Disney studio lot, and they were at Marvel at their offices on the first floor. They saw Mahershala Ali go upstairs to the Marvel offices, and then he came back down after some time and left with his friend. And he said out loud, he's telling his friend that he felt very good about what he heard up there, and that may have been the new script. He may have looked at and read the new script. I've been to the Marvel offices for that Black Panther project way back when at Collider, so I know they keep the script. You have to go into the room, you have to sign an NDA, and they monitor you as you read the script. So that may have been what he was doing up there, reading the new script and seeing the new details. And so maybe he's really excited about this new script that they're referencing here. So makes all the sense in the world. You want to keep an Oscar-winning actor like Mahershala Ali, you gotta propose certain things, and maybe the script now is in the right place. Now you got to find a director, and now you've got some time to get it right, it seems like.
I need to get something right, because I wasn't sure if I heard it the right way, but in the chat, can you go back? Did you say you agreed with Thanos?
Oh, Thanos was right. Yeah,
what are you talking about?
I mean, come on.
Thanos was right?
We're overpopulated. He
but that's how he does it. He's snapping away.
Snapping away half of, and look, the way he did it.
What that was you? What was it? What was this Lady Outlaw?
It sucks. It's the life.
Wow.
Well, I can't control an earthquake. Can you control an earthquake?
That's not an earthquake. That's the earthquake. This is someone deciding to snap away.
Yeah, half the world is, half the universe is gone. It would suck. It sucks. We all got to get over things when they happen. And the reason it works is because, like he said in the movie, he didn't judge by wealth. He didn't judge by race. He didn't judge by gender. He didn't judge by, it was just random, the people who were taken. And that's equal. That's true equality.
I think you're out of your mind. I think you're out of your mind.
The constructs of the film. I'm not advocating that, obviously.
I know what you're saying. In
the
movie itself. I know you're saying, but
before people run away with this idea that I want half the world dead, I'm saying what Thanos did.
You're saying what he did in the film itself, but still, it's like, you're right.
I don't want anyone to die.
You would be. I'm telling you, there's a reason why the Outlaw was one of the biggest villains for a long time. I'll tell you that. Lunatic.
Look, Thanos was right. There's a lot of merchandise. People do think Thanos was right. There's a huge campaign of people who support.
You're on board, huh?
I am. I am on board.
That's why you're whatever the name of your team is now. I was going to say the old team. I don't want to get canceled.
The Commanders.
There you go. All right, let's get to some. There's new sponsor that I can't wait for people to hear. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. And I'm going to tell you all about Via. And I've told you about Hello Tushy. I'm going to say about both of them. What do you want to hear about first, John? You hear about Via? You want to hear about Tushy?
Via, since it's new. Let's go.
You're going to love Via. I know I do. As the crisp fall air now rolls in and those leaves begin to change, don't rely on pumpkin to spice up your life. You got to embrace the natural power of cannabis this fall with Via. Whether you're lounging by the fire or you're exploring new adventures, Via's premium, federally legal cannabis products are your perfect companion. Farmed and crafted with care in the U.S. and trusted by over 500,000 customers, Via has a product for everyone. Via is well known for their premium THCA flower grown indoors in the state-of-the-art facilities and harvested at peak THCA levels to emphasize a natural aroma and flavor. They're constantly adding new strains to its website every week, as they're always receiving fresh new strains from their independent farm harvests. Via is also well-renowned for their award-winning THC and THC-free gummies. Yum. They sent me some. Loving it. Digging it. Big fan. Especially after I moved, I needed a place and I found Via. If you are 21 and up, check out the link in our description and use that code Kristian to receive 15% off. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. You got to support our show, and you tell them that we sent this fall. Enhance your everyday with Via. Come on, you are thanking me already. You know, the spooky season, it's here. And there's no reason that your bathroom routine should give you the chills. If you're haunted by nagging sensation that you're not clean after you wipe, it is time to make the switch to Hello Tushy. I've been using Tushy for a long time, and I have 2 of them in my house, and I really love them. I'm so excited to tell you guys more about them. Hello Tushy is the modern bidet attachment that uses a stream of fresh water for a complete and soothing clean. The Tushy bidet, it attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing or electricity. Installation, simple. Takes less time than it does for you to go to the bathroom, just under 10 minutes. Toilet paper only smears your poop around, but with the Tushy bidet's nozzle adjuster, you get a precise clean every time. And every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. Get one of these, especially for Halloween. Get one. Clean your butts. You guys will be thanking me, I promise you. Ditch the toilet paper. Finally feel shower fresh with Hello Tushy for a limited time. Our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use that code BIGTHING at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with that promo code BIGTHING. All right, so obviously, I've told you about Hello Tushy many times over, and I'm so glad that so many people have told me about the bidets. I have already seen, John, in the you're browsing around the internet again. I can tell because you're look at that. But
hold on,
and I know where you went. You went to Via, and I don't blame you. I looked at the comments, and people were like, I'm definitely clicking on this sponsor. they all everybody's clicking in on Via as they should. This is the best. I can't tell you. I felt like I was clicking my heels and humming and dancing when they were like, "Hey, would you want Via as a sponsor?" I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?" you better believe it. Anyway, so people are already signing up. I see that. So good. Use it. And tell me what you thought. I'm also, I got to tell you, I'm a little I know you well enough when you're ready to put up your dukes and ready to fight when it comes to competition.
Yeah. Mike
and Brett topped you at one point. Then Winston and Coy took the week last week with 112.
112. Well, listen.
What?
You're asking me to fight against 2-on-1.
Hey,
constantly.
Steph did it once by herself
constantly.
too. Yeah, but mostly the one-on-ones work more. I think that for you, I think you usually set it off, and then people want to compete. But I'm telling you, I think that right now you're at 13. So
13.
13. Just saying.
What is happening with you all, man? What is it going on a Monday morning? Listen, Kristian doesn't want me to threaten you all anymore, which I think is unfair. No, I should be able to go to your house and
don't do that. Knowing you just snap them away.
Send half of your pets are gone.
Yeah.
Send in your stuff, people. What are you doing right now? We got stuff talking about. What's your thoughts on Blade? What's your thoughts on the Penguin episode? What's your thoughts on Thanos coming back? What are you all doing? Just sitting down with your legs up? I get it. I'm wearing a Watch the Commanders hat. We shocked the Bears, but for God's sakes, send in your love. For God's sakes, come on.
I had Mark Paul Gosselaar on last week.
Yeah, how did it go? How was it?
It's great. It was really good. And then I had Matthew Lillard, and I have I got Renzi Felice from the Penguin on this.
Did you already interview him?
I already interviewed him. I went into the city, Manhattan. He was great kid. Really like him a lot. And so I asked him about Miles Morales. I asked a bunch of stuff, right? And that's going to air on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah. But I put everything up on this Clips channel, man, and it's so funny because the Mark Paul Gosselaar interview did pretty good. Did like 15,000 views or something like that. I put his clips so far, the clips that I've put on that channel and the Clip Out channel, is at 875,000 views so far collectively. No, I haven't put Renzi up yet. Of Mark Paul Gosselaar. I put one clip up about the fight between Zach and AC Slater. Did almost 450,000 views. Ow. And he was talking about Dustin Diamond and talking about his new show. It's like that Clips channel is to me. I'm so glad that people have discovered it, because I can condense a lot of the interview there. So it's been good. I'm putting up Matthew Lillard clips today. Roxy's been helping me too. So so it's been good. I'm pretty excited. Somebody I would love to interview eventually. Did have a chance to speak with him at the Critics' Choice Awards this year, and that was Jeremy Allen White, and he is going to be playing Bruce.
Yeah.
Bruce, you're a Bruce guy, right?
Bruce, I love Bruce. Are you kidding?
Okay.
Bruce Springsteen?
Well, I don't know. You picked the Beatles over the Stones. I figured you wouldn't like him either. So who knows? But Jeremy Allen White is Bruce Springsteen, and you know he's going to transform into him because he's that good of an actor. I think he's one of the best we have right now. He's that good. 20th Century Studios has posted a first look of the Bear star Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen in the upcoming biopic Deliver Me From Nowhere. The project is based on Warren Zane's book of the same name and is set to focus on the making of Springsteen's sixth album, Nebraska. That's awesome. In 1982. Though it lacks the most famous tracks like Born in the USA, Glory Days, or Hungry Heart, it remains one of the most highly regarded albums in his catalog, with a solemn and thoughtful tone and challenging subject matter. Scott Cooper is adapting the script and will direct, while Eric Robinson and Ellen Goldsmith Vane are producing. Springsteen remains a music icon famed for his energetic live performances and celebrating working-class American life. Springsteen has sold more than 71 million albums in the U.S. and over 140 million worldwide. White most recently starred in The Iron Claw and has another season of The Bear upcoming. I'll tell you, I love this, and I love the way they're doing it, and I love the time period. I'll tell you why, because I hope, and it's not to say that it could happen, but by doing it this way, they're setting up. 1982 is when he was big, but he wasn't as big, obviously, as the 1980. Once the 1984 album hit, he went into another stratosphere, right?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. But the 82 album, he was still pretty damn loved, and you see that period. What this will allow them to do, if they wanted to, if it does very well, you can make a second one. You can make another movie. Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Now, the chances of it doesn't usually happen that way, but it doesn't seem to be one of those movies in the same way what they did with like Bob Marley, right? They did the Bob Marley movie off a course of a couple different. It was really focusing around the concert and everything else, not his rise to fame and all. They showed snippets of it, but this is showing like one just this album. If he loves playing the role and it does very well, you do a second one. Show him what happens in 1984 as he gets older. You show it, and then you can do it again in 15 years again if you wanted to do it. I think it's a very smart way to do it if they wanted to do it that way, and it's never been done. But I love the casting. So what do you think about all that?
Well, I love the look. It's a great look. Jeremy Allen White for Springsteen doesn't quite have the beard, scraggle, Springsteen kind of look, but certainly close enough. So it excites you to see what he's going to do with the Springsteen situation. The E Street Band, you got to cast that really well. Who's going to play Little Steven? Who's going to play Clarence? Like, there's a lot. Max Weinberg, to see how they cast this as it goes forward. But you bring up an interesting point, Kristian. They could go album by album because if you go to Born in the USA, that's, as you said, when he becomes a megastar. It's also when he starts his relationship with the actress. I can't remember her name. She was on Sisters that he ends up marrying.
Right. Nancy. Oh shoot, what's her name? Nancy. I forget.
I think it was Julie. It wasn't a Juliet Stevenson or something. I forget.
No, it's Nancy something. But anyway, go ahead.
But then you could go another installment, and that's Tunnel of Love, and that's when him and his wife are breaking up, and he's discovering that he's fallen in love with Patti Scialfa. So there's a lot that you could go album by album. Who knew you could turn Springsteen into a possible IP franchise? Could be really interesting if you go album by album. And because Lucky Town and Human Touch weren't received that well, you could see maybe he's going into a bit of a career lull, a depression. What's that all lead to? And then coming back and doing like Ghost of Tom Jones exploration. So there's a lot here that you could really explore with him for sure if you wanted to go that route.
Well, just going off the point that we made about doing more movies, is that someone wrote, well, it's hard because you can't do sequels for biopics. This doesn't seem like it's a biopic. It seems like it's covering one. It seems like it's covering one album. If it was, I don't disagree with you that if it was covering, someone's like biopics getting sequels, where would we come now? It's like, but this isn't a biopic. This is just, if there's another movie, if you have this movie with this guy, if it was fictional, fictional, and
The Godfather. Michael Corleone is literally
Well, sure.
biopics, right?
Sure, but if you had, let's say it's a fictional story about a musician who's working on an album, and he's working on an album, and Jeremy Allen White goes and he puts out a great performance, and people are like, wow, that's an interesting character. It was really great. Oh, I wonder what happens when he really hits it big time. Rocky 2, he wins the title. Rocky 3, what's it going to be like when he's the champ? You just think about it because you're so used to seeing all these biopics, and you're so used to seeing the way that the normal formula of that he's playing a younger version of Springsteen. He'll get older, just the way Springsteen got older. So if he does, and people really enjoy the performance, look, if the performance isn't good, nobody sees the movie, then you don't do another one. But you could, because now by doing this in 1982, if I love it, I'm gonna go. Oh, I want to see him perform in all the glory days and all that stuff, and doing that. And you just see that rise to fame in other movies. I think it would be pretty great, but we'll see.
I agree. There should be a sequel for Straight Outta Compton.
Right,
What
right.
happens
There's supposed to be. Wasn't there supposed to be?
Yeah, there's rumors about
That's
it. Why
right.
shouldn't there be a sequel to that? You see Eazy-E dealing with AIDS, what that ends up leading to.
Yes.
Reunification of them as friends. We're going to visit him. Like, we see some of that, but like, it would have been nice to explore that as sequel. Then their solo careers, where Cube goes, where Dre goes, all these kinds of things. You could even bring in Eminem as kind of a cameo, get a guy play Eminem in a cameo. That's very, very possible. Walk the Line ends with him and Roseanne Carter now fully in the marriage. What happens afterwards? What happens when they go forward? What happens to Johnny when he starts like not being as popular as he was? What does he go through to find his way back through Rick Rubin with the Johnny Cash albums there later in life? So there's a lot to explore with biopics of where they stop. There are quite a few musical biopics that stop at a certain section and then they do the whole blurb about what happens later, but you can make a whole movie about what happens later. Why not?
I hate to do this.
Okay.
Because I really like the actor that played Silvio in Many Saints, although the performance was terrible. He's a great actor. He was in that movie Past Lives, and he's in other movies. But it was a very Saturday Night Live performance.
Yeah.
What was the worst performance? That, or Ric Flair in the Iron Claw?
I'd have to say Ric Flair.
I think I agree with you.
Right? Because it's a bigger character. Right?
I couldn't take either one of them serious, but the Iron Claw, I at least saw what that dude was trying to do with Silvio. I don't know what that guy didn't even, he seemed like a jobber that would lose to Ric Flair, and he didn't seem like Ric Flair.
I just wonder if they said, you're playing Ric Flair. All right, I don't want to see any videos. I just want to play Ric Flair.
Yeah, terrible. I did watch the Vince McMahon thing. I finished the whole thing.
Finished up.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree with everything that you said. It's all stuff that we knew already going in, minus, then they covered the stuff that was the most interesting to me was the stuff at the end, obviously, because that's the stuff. And I think what's actually the most intriguing thing about it is that all that stuff broke while they were doing it. I'll tell you who had a little bit of egg on their face, besides Vince, obviously, is Bruce Pritchard.
Pritchard, totally. They set him up in such a great way.
They set him up in such a way where he's just like, you guys, you're putting out a hit piece here. You're putting out a hit piece. It'll make Vince look so bad. And you didn't know Vince helped me out and helped my wife and did all this stuff. And then like 2 days later, he's like, all this stuff comes down. And it made me start thinking about morally and stuff too. It's like I got into this argument with Ryan Satin about Chris Benoit. And I'm sure there'll be people that, and you might, what?
Recently or
years ago. Okay. And I'm sure that I don't know where you stand on this. I don't know. And I'm curious to hear what you think. And I'm sure that most of the audience, maybe a lot of the audience disagrees with me. I met Chris Benoit when I first got there, and he was the nicest person to me out of everyone that was there. Every single person that I remember speaking to about writers and everything too, no one had a bad word to say about him, right?
Yeah.
My argument was always with, I think that the amount of evil that he committed, what he did was, there's nothing worse than what he did, right? I felt it was a man who committed an evil act, Ryan Satin always said, no, he was evil always. If he could do that, he was always evil. I don't agree with that. I think that, good people can turn to bad things, and I don't know whether CTE and all that other stuff that happened. I do believe in CTE. I disagree with Stone Cold Steve Austin on that. And I think that it was incredibly horrendous, atrocious, heartbreaking, everything about it. But I do think that people can do that. Good people can do evil acts, And the same can be said. I think that evil people can do good acts in the same way that, yeah, he paid for your wife's cancer. He liked you. It doesn't mean that he was not an evil son of a bitch, because it sure seems like he was. But those are my thoughts. What do you? I don't know. I've never really talked to you about the Benoit thing.
I think that's fair. The CTE thing, you can't remove it from the equation. It's such a massive part of the equation. And when you watch, if anybody's watched that 2-episode Dark Side of the Ring they did on it, I thought that was a really fascinating, comprehensive exploration. I think it was almost 3 hours, 2 parts. It's a comprehensive exploration of what happened. And you're right. No one has a negative thing to say about Benoit as a person. And everyone was shocked about how this all went down. It didn't mean that they didn't see signs,
right?
Which you see in Dark Side of the Ring, that Benoit's had the explosive temper at times. But you can't remove the CTE equation, the concussion equation, using the using performance enhancing drugs allegedly. You can't remove that from the equation when assessing him. That being said, what he did was supremely horrible. Yeah. And so it's all a matter of subjectiveness. Do you feel like you're okay with watching his stuff? And I think a lot of people are. But Paul Heyman very famously destroyed Benoit.
And I watched it, and I happen to agree with everything that he said, to be honest with you, too. And someone even said it, too. Like, in the comment section, he belongs in hell. I don't disagree with that. You make like he made the choice to do what he did and did an evil thing. But to say that he was evil all of his life, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think he went up doing an evil thing, and he's going to pay for it, what you believe in. And I think Paul Heyman was, I've seen that clip, and I think he's 100% correct in what he says. Like, they're all talking about, Benoit, and this is like, what about his wife? What about his kid? I don't disagree with anything Paul said. I think 100% everything he said. And I don't disagree with what Anthony in the chat said about where, he believes that Benoit should be. I'm just saying that there are people that maybe throughout their lives were good people, and then went the other way and went a really dark, evil way. I just don't think it's built. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think that's what makes it so complex, Kristian, is that he not only was he a fantastic wrestler, which of course you can say like, well, that doesn't matter, of course, but you can't exclude things. It's all a package. He's a human being,
right? So
all of it has to be assessed, right? And for the most part, everyone spoke glowingly about Benoit. Yeah, did he steal a woman from Kevin? And you can have all that conversation, but like, there was stuff that went on here, and it was clear that there was a lot of affection for Benoit from the fans and the wrestlers. And so when you see them reacting to what happened to woman and his son, that's devastating. But I think you do a crime to yourself by not also factoring in the other things that were going on here. There were extenuating circumstances. There were the CTE stuff possibly involved here. So you have to keep an open mind to the situation. Does he belong in hell in a linear black and white approach? Yes. But if he was having thoughts that he couldn't control because of the CTE, because of the concussions, because of the prescription or the performance enhancing drugs and whatever other drugs he was taking, and he wasn't thinking straight and he lost control and he thought what he was doing was right, then, you have a different assessment. Doesn't mean he doesn't belong in jail. Doesn't mean he doesn't belong in punishment if he had lived and not killed himself. Of course. But there are other factors here that I think you have to look at in the whole.
And then you look at somebody. I know it's different circumstances, but you look at somebody like a Jeffrey Dahmer. That's an evil fuck, right? Like that's like born with evil in his brain. Right. I think that and you look at all the stuff. If true, with everything that Vince has done, that's an evil dude. You look at the stuff that he said to his son. You look at the stuff that he said. I happen to agree with what they said about. I think it was Tony Atlas that said it. That Shane McMahon. His problem is that he's nice. He was very nice. I'll tell you, I met him like you could tell he was a tough love guy. He was nice to me. He was tough with me. He was like Bruce Pritchard was a bit of a dick.
No surprise.
No, he was a dick. But no, Shane was nice, tough, but nice.
Yeah. I think Stephanie's my personal opinion, and of course you have interaction with her.
Yes.
You speak but I feel like Stephanie is more like Vince than Shane is more like Vince, which is why
in a business aspect.
Yeah.
In a business aspect.
Exactly. Business aspect.
I think morally I think there's stuff that she does that, whether it's cheating or doing things in a certain aspect or maybe going about business a certain way that you don't agree with, but I think that her intentions for other things are are right. And I think from what you're talking about in this documentary, it looks like the second Vince came back that first time, she's like, I can't be involved in this anymore.
She had hit her wall, finally, because God knows what it's like to be a woman underneath Vince in that way and be his daughter as well. The amount of like the mixing together and all. And didn't Paul say like he got mad that she wanted to go to college or whatever?
Something like that. But Paul, you look like Paul wanted to say a lot more than he did.
Oh my God.
Like Paul wanted to say a lot more than he did.
Bischoff too. I'm sure Bischoff.
Bischoff would probably did say everything. He doesn't care.
Yeah, they just cut it.
Paul, I think Paul's the smartest person in wrestling ever. And I've always talked about how I will say, like, he to me, I wish I would have spent more time with Paul, because the time that I did spend with him, I cherish, because he was very good to me. And I feel like had I been there longer, he would have been the guy. I told you when I got there, he was the one that said, hey, after I got the job, he said, before you leave, come here. And he had me call a match, because he's like, I see something with you in broadcasting. And it wasn't that, but hey, what's up, Mike? You know what I mean? It's like this has become my career, and I think that Paul Heyman has an instinct to what people. And I just met him, and he's like, I feel like you know what you're doing on a microphone, and so I really like Paul a lot.
I met him once too, and he was like, "Dude, you seem like you can be a movie trivia champion in the future." He said the same thing to me.
That's really great. That's really great. Anyway, I believe it. I could see him saying that. I'm eventually gonna get him on. We go back and forth DMs.
You gotta get him on.
We go back on DMs here and there, but I'll try to get him on. Anyway, switching over to the box office, to which we always talk about on this show.
Good segue.
We are Venom. We have Venom. We have Venom as the #1 movie, and the final global is 175. It's pretty good global. Sony and Marvel's Venom: The Last Dance is struggling in the domestic box office, but overseas it's a whole different story. Either way, the film came in #1 both domestically and globally in its debut weekend. In North America, the film was on track to open at 51 million, well behind last week's projection of 65. It's also a significant drop-off from the 90 million of the previous film. Venom: Let There Be Carnage and the 80.2 million of the first. So it's a failure? Well, no, not quite. Overseas, it's beating expectations. Took in 124 million, including a major 46 million in China. The best superhero movie debut in that market since 2019, and the best Hollywood studio film debut this year. That has raised the film's results to a global start of 175 against a relatively modest 120 million budget. Sony and financiers are said to be in good shape, and they won't be losing money on this. That said, the franchise's worst B- cinema score from audience suggests there's likely not much of a future for the franchise. Smile 2 takes second place, 59% drop to 9.4 million, followed by Conclave debuting with 6.5 and tying with The Wild Robot for that spot. Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh, We Live in Time will round out the top spot with 4.8. All right, talk Venom first, John.
Okay. What do you want to say?
The thing that look, the movie, you and I both felt the same exact way about this movie. I saw your out of the theater reaction. We both felt the same way. It's like, if you like the first two movies, you're probably going to like this one. It's the same tone, not for us, in how it plays. There's watching them go back and forth, Venom and Eddie, is fun. There's some fun moments. The buddy stuff, it's a sloppy story. Juno Temple and Chiwetel Ejiofor, it shouldn't even been in the movie. What was the point? Except if you would have cut them and put any other actors, this movie probably would have cost $100 million. That's where I give it an applause, because of what we've been talking about. This is the third movie in the franchise. Disney or Warner Brothers might have made this movie for $230 million, thinking that, well, it's the third movie in the franchise. They made it for $100 million. They probably gave Tom Hardy some credits or whatever it is as producer. And then they do well overseas. Doesn't surprise me that this movie did well overseas. I could see it completely being a movie that hits the other audiences besides just America, and it's a success. I think you pack it up and you walk away from the franchise here, because I think you go to the well too many times, and then you will start seeing the decline. Yeah.
What do you want me to say? What are we going to talk about?
I mean, tell me about, do you think that this is something, is it a success that they did this?
I think it's a success, and I'll tell you why.
You don't, or you do?
I don't.
Okay.
And I don't know who wrote this Dark Horizons thing, but you were way off.
Oh, okay.
The 124 million was what it was expected to make overseas. It didn't beat expectations. It met expectations. Look back on the articles from last week that 120 to 124 was what it was quoted overseas.
Okay.
So it met expectations. The fact that it came in 40 million less than the last installment domestically is not good. The fact that it came in 14 million less than the expectations from last week makes it even worse. So to me, yes, it made 175 million on 120, but we also know that a film needs to make 2.5 times its budget before it sees a profit in most cases. And if that's the case here, this thing is going to squeak along, barely move along, and then it's going to die very quickly. So yes, great. If they finished the trilogy, awesome. But to me, they came out with a worse movie than the first two movies. I saw people trying to say this was the best of the three, and I'm like, you're insane. The first one is better and more charming and more interesting than this one. And I agree with Campy. I saw Campy's out of theater reaction. Everything Campy said, I felt the same way about. It was the worst of the three. It wasn't that good. It wasn't that interesting. Juno Temple and Chiwetel Ejiofor, they gave you about as surface of a backstory as you can for those two. Rhys Ifans is the one who stole this movie. Every scene he was in, he was hilarious and stole every scene he's in. And the film criminally underused Alana Ubach, who's one of the funniest and most talented actresses working today. So there were a lot of negatives about this movie that I just frustrated me on so many levels.
Fair.
But the fight scene at the end, that was fun. That was very well done. So if you go see it, come in late and just watch that.
I'm one of the lunatics that thinks it's probably the best out of the three. Because I maybe you can make a case for number one, maybe. But I would tell you that I think that I thought it was enjoyable, but all three of them just not for me. But I do think that it should be looked upon as a success, because if I'm making those movies and I look at what Madame Web made, I'm looking at what Morbius made, Venom to me is still delivering. And if I'm like, hey, look, we'll make our money back, or we'll just break even, or we didn't lose money on this one, guys. Is that a way? It's like going 500 in a season. Is that how you want to play it? No, but that's who's running your team right now. And they're going, okay, we did that. So I think a failure to them would have been if they lost money again, because I still think that it at least gives them juice to say, right or wrong, hey, we can still make in these movies. Let's say, okay, here we go, Craven. Because if Craven also breaks even, they're going to keep making these movies. They're going to do the Sinister Six thing. Yeah.
Please stop going to see these movies, people, please. But I don't know how you see it's a success, Christian. The first film made $856 million worldwide.
Yeah.
The second film made only $500 million worldwide. And this one's not even going to get to $500 million worldwide. So it's a law of diminishing returns in terms of success.
I don't know if it's a hit. I think it's I shouldn't say success. I should say a win. It's a win for Sony that they didn't lose money again.
Yeah, it's like 16-15, we won, that kind of thing.
Right.
Fair.
I think that's more so what it is than do I think that you can say, oh, hey, we had a big hit on our hands. No, you can't say that. Now, what I will say is that look at Aquaman 2, which looked dead on arrival week one and battled back. Now, it didn't have much competition, and it had January to make up some money and whatever it did, and it made up money. And I think that thing broke even also. Venom 2 doesn't have any competition really until Gladiator 2 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Heretic is not going to... I mean, Heretic will probably end up doing better than Venom. But don't discount the Carpenter here, Kristian Harloff. Jesus training an MMA fighter to fight.
It's a crazy movie. I saw someone tweet out about that. What movie is that? When is that coming out? What is that?
Comes out this weekend. Is legitimate.
You know that's a movie that if someone reacts to, they probably do 2.5 million freaking views on that thing.
If it was available digital, I might even do it. But I saw them putting up for those you don't know, this is a real movie that is coming out. It is called The Carpenter. It is, and I hate to give it attention, but I think it's funny to talk about. It's directed by Garrett Batty, and this one is basically a guy becomes an MMA fighter in Jesus times, and Jesus Christ trains him to be an MMA fighter, in essence, to fight in the arena. Jesus, turn the other cheek, Christ is training an MMA fighter to fight him. This is so beyond
You know what it reminds me of?
I gotta have to watch this one.
Do you know that's what they're hoping for, by the way.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping for, in the same way that Blumhouse made that movie about a haunted pool. They're going, wait a minute, I got an idea. Hey, is everybody hey, I just got our shipment of Via. We're all good. Okay, good. Hey, so they're all around. They're having a little party, and they go, hey, listen, I had an idea. You know, you said come up with some new ideas. I got one. All right, hear me out here.
Come on.
There's a guy, and it's old times. I'm talking old times, and he's running, and he's in Israel, and he's in Jerusalem, and he's Jerusalem. He's in Jerusalem, and he's walking around, and he's down in his luck, but he's a good fighter, and he wants to start fighting, and he knows that he potentially could fight a lion, he could fight something, but he's got to fight, and who's gonna train him? Jesus. And someone goes, who let that fucking guy in the room? And then the other guy who also just got his shipment of Via goes, hey, I'm in. How much is it going to cost us? And then they do it. And that's what happens. And people will go see this movie. They go, everybody's going to want to see Jesus. He doesn't fight. He doesn't fight. He's just like the Mickey. It's like that's what they're hoping to get you in there. Reminds me of No Retreat, No Surrender. You remember that movie? When the kid is trained by the ghost of Bruce Lee.
Oh my God. Ridiculous.
Absolutely.
What would Jesus do? Fight.
That's hilarious. That's the tag. Yeah, of course you want to see. Who doesn't want to see that now? Come on. That movie. You know what I hope, John? I hope that movie makes $1 billion. I hope that movie makes $1 billion and teaches us all a lesson.
Does that one get a sequel as a biopic?
I'm telling you, the middle of it, and then time travel happens. Thanos comes through, and Bruce Springsteen plays a concert right in the middle of it.
Listen, I'm a Christian, so don't come from me. But if Jesus shows up as a Force ghost in the sequel, I'm all about it. All about it. Come on, man.
Someone just wrote WWJT. Why would Jesus tap? It's like, because that's the type of stuff. Like, it's like, come on, it's hilarious. And you just said, like, there's like a Dana White type guy there. And it's just like, guys, wait a minute. You used a miracle on the guy in the middle of it. You can't do that.
You can't do that. That's a fix. The fix is, look what he did.
He ran out of water, and he ran out of food, and the guy just made a whole bunch of food, gave him his fighters some stuff. You can't do that. You can't do miracles. It's like,
Jesus 3:16 says
100%. Dun, 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 dun. That's so stupid. Anyway. I'm so curious what everybody thinks about all this stuff. Put your comments in there and tell us what you think, whether it's Venom, whether it's anything that we talked about here today. Make sure you put your comments in there. Put your thoughts in there. We got to hear it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Make sure that you check it out. Please check out the Clips channel also. All right, before we get to your questions, which we're going to get to in a moment here, I got to tell you about BILT, which I've been telling you about BILT forever. If you haven't tried BILT now, hey, man, it's on you. I'm trying to give you something that's really going to help you out, and I'll tell you a little bit more about them, but BILT's the way to go. BILT. I really hope that people are going to start taking advantage here of BILT, because listen up, renters. If you ever feel like you're stuck in this loop of rent payments, just watching your money vanish into thin air, it is time to turn that rent game around and start earning some serious rewards, and that's where BILT Rewards comes in. You've done that before. You've been there. You're like, I'm burning cash with all the rent checks. I'm there all the time. I feel like it. It's frustrating, but here's the deal. BILT Rewards has figured out a way to make rent more rewarding. You say goodbye to the money bonfire and hello to a renter's revolution with BILT. BILT is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month, you pay your rent and you watch the BILT points roll in. You can use your points to book fitness studio classes, redeem them towards a future rent payment. They're designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through the BILT Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. BILT points have consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. Earn points by paying rent now when you go to joinbilt.com/bigthing. That's joinbilt, BILT.com/bigthing. And make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you. Joinbilt.com/bigthing to start earning points with your rent payments today. All right, thank you to BILT. I put all the links in the description, so make sure you click on them. Just at least browse around, see if there's something on there that you want to check out, because that helps out the show, and then you get something even better. All right, let's get to your questions. Before we do, John, what do you got going on your channel this week?
Yeah, head on over there, youtube.com/John Rocha Says, the Outlaw Nation there. So much going on. We're going to put up our review of the Penguin in a couple hours here from the Geek Buddies, our spoiler review of last night's episode. What an episode. Another great episode in that series. Then we're going to, then we just had the Jedi Way. We did our recent episode last Thursday. That's up there. Spill the Tequila. Winston and I going off on things going on in the world of entertainment and politics there. That new episode is up as well. And then later on this week, the hot mic and more reactions and reviews. And I might be going live tonight to talk about that insane rally yesterday and give some reviews of some other movies I saw over the weekend, including Conclave, which I think is fantastic.
I heard
you guys
good.
have,
yeah.
So a lot of good stuff going on there.
Is that
YouTube
live? Is that your new channel? Or is that that's this channel?
That's my regular channel, yes. And I might be launching the new channel off that channel, so off that show.
Snap. Snarf. All right. Let's see. Let's get into tons of stuff here. It's so funny, you know. I'm gonna give Coy and Winston some props though.
What's that?
They went up winning the week last week.
Okay.
They did it without one donation from Derek Johnson.
Wow.
Yeah, Derek Johnson wasn't even there. That was pretty big.
Well, if I was riding the coattails of a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers, I might also have a lot of people sending stuff in. But I do it. You know, I'm a blue collar boy. I like to work from the bottom up. I don't like to start.
I gotta have you guys on the show together. Make sure. All right, let's get into some more stuff here because we got stuff. We got stuff. All right, the first one comes in from Ian Davis, I believe. Let me see if that's true. Yes, it is. All right, so Ian Davis, thank you, Ian. I believe that James Bond is the longest-running movie franchise in history. With how Marvel and Star Wars have been going lately, and a lot of their movies and TV shows bombing, do you think there's ever going to be an end? An end of those? Well, Marvel's not bombing.
No.
I think that Star Wars movies, even though very disappointing, if you look at the definition of what John and I were talking about before when it came to box office, not bombing. Now, I think that the decisions inside of the executive branch at Lucasfilm has been bombing tremendously. But no, I don't think it'll ever disappear because I think there's too much potential inside of the vast storytelling, and Marvel ain't bombing anytime soon, even if they have Captain America that doesn't do well. And even if Thunderbolts doesn't do well, if Fantastic Four and the Avengers movies deliver, they can rebound on it. They always have the chance to rebound. Now, it'll take some gusto off of it, but them going away, no, Marvel's not going away anytime soon. And I just think, again, Star Wars needs a complete executive facelift.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. And look, Marvel is in a lull, but doesn't mean it's bombing necessarily. And look, Agatha all along is getting more and more
ratings, yeah.
More and more positive reactions, and we're maybe turning a corner here to seeing where we're going. If Fantastic Four comes out and people love it, that'll be great. We'll see what happens with Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts, but it's a bit of a lull, but doesn't mean you just give up just because there's a lull. It's going to keep going, and more creators are going to come in and want to do stuff for sure. Star Wars, I think, is a whole nother situation, and we'll see what happens with that, but that'll never go away. And listen, don't treat James Bond like it hasn't had lulls itself. There's a lot of people who didn't like the Timothy Dalton years. There's a lot of people who, View to a Kill. There's some people who didn't like the later Roger Moore stuff. So it wasn't like consistently banger after banger after banger. James Bond has had some lulls as well.
Isn't Dalton's Kalinowski's favorite, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying there are some people who.
I don't know. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're totally right. Totally right.
Dating.
This Ewok. Who should star in the Master and Commander prequel? You know, it's so.
Love that idea.
Well, you know, they're actually doing it.
Yeah, I know. The 20th century, the guy talked about it in the Hollywood Reporter.
Which is nuts. I would tell you the dude from Shogun. You know, I believe that I could absolutely be in this one. If you had me show up, I will be there. No matter the cause, no matter the thing, I will be there to fire out the cannons. Fire the cannons.
Cosmo Jarvis.
Love,
yeah, maybe.
He would be great.
Yeah.
Or even the dude from the 1922 who was in that Blake Lively movie that I can never get his name right, but they were mentioning him. Did you saw the Blake Lively thing, or you never saw it?
No, Ends With Us? No, I didn't see it.
No, he's like the main guy, but he's also in 1922.
He's like the main guy, or the guy that
do you watch 1922?
No. I'm saying in the movie. Is he the guy she ends up with at the end, or
he's the good guy? He's the good guy in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the good guy. No, not the director, and no. I don't know. That's who I would choose of those two. Do you have anybody in general that you would choose?
No, I thought Paul Mescal. I mean, if
I haven't
he
seen the movie
keep
yet.
going with the Russell Crowe roles, if he
Yeah.
kicks ass Gladiator 2, why not him sliding into Master and Commander? But
Which
I'm
I
glad
hear
they're-
he is kicking ass, but I hear that movie crushes.
Yeah. When are you seeing it? Are you seeing it soon?
I think I see it on the 7th.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Same.
Ewok coming back in says, which 2025 dystopian Stephen King movie following contestants in a competition are you more excited for? The Running Man with Glenn Powell or The Long Walk with Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson? I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of David Johnson right now.
Yeah.
That's the dude. That's the dude from Alien.
Yeah.
Armin.
Alien Romulus.
I am excited to follow his career. I think he is a special actor. I really do. What he was able to do in that role. And Glenn Powell is everywhere. And I love The Running Man. It's going to be very hard for me. I could snap your neck like a chicken. It's going to be very hard to surpass that movie. One of the best ever FUs to Richard Dawson. Fuck you. It's so good. What is it? Rip out your goddamn spine. It's the best. I love that movie so much. It's going to be very hard to make that something that I love.
I'll be back. Only in reruns.
That's right. So good.
I love that.
Hey, light bulb. Hey, Christmas tree. It's so good.
No, I mean, I guess I have to say the other one because I'm with you. I'm with David Johnson. I mean, they just announced that Coleman Domingo is going to be directing, speaking of musical biopic, he's going to be directing a biopic relationship film about Sammy Davis Jr.'s relationship with Kim Novak.
Oh, wow.
And that Sidney will be playing Kim Novak, and David Johnson will play Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh,
so
wow.
to me, that's an exciting possibility as a film. So, yeah, I'll go with the David Johnson one. I mean, Running Man is fine. Don't get me wrong, but
it's a cool idea for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if Glenn's gonna have the charm that Arnold did. I don't know that Glenn has the.
It's going to be a very different movie. It's going to be. They're going to do. I know you hate it, but I didn't hate the Total Recall remake. I know I didn't hate it though, but But it's dramatically different. Even though there's some similarities, it's dramatically different in tone and everything else too. I'm just not a Len Weissman guy in general, but like that is what. By the way, and I don't know if we talked about this or not. Okay. And I believe it. But the Len Weissman stuff, one of the reasons it got pushed back is that Chad Selesky was like, no, we're not releasing this. And he went in and shot a whole bunch of stuff on Ballerina and basically directed the whole thing. I loved that story more than anything because I want it to be true more than anything.
Yeah. I've heard, let me just say, like, for weeks, I've heard that from the sources I have.
Love that.
That totally happened, no matter what they deny and what they're saying now. And I think Jeff backed that up on his own with his own stuff.
Okay.
I think on it, but I think he did. If I remember our conversation, that he'd heard the same thing. So it's certainly very possible. I don't know why they hired Len to begin with. I mean, Len had one good movie, Underworld.
I'm not a Len fan. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe one other good movie.
I don't like what he did with Die Hard. Some people will say that Die Hard. Didn't like what he did with that at all. Hey, light bulb. Hey, Christmas tree over here. The best. It's not my favorite. What's your favorite Arnold line in a movie? You can take one. Because I say it, the one I say all the time. Hey, Benny, screw you. It's the best. Hey, Benny. Hey, Benny.
I have to think about it. I'll kill you last. I have to think about it.
Yeah, remember I told you I'd kill you last? I lied. You know what's so great? I knew you were an MMA guy. You're going to like this one.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's episode of Matt Serra's show, he had on Frank Mir.
Oh, I love Frank Mir.
It was Frank Mir, and they were talking. They were supposed to talk John Wick movies. They talk John Wick movies for it's like an hour episode. They talk about John Wick for like 15, 20 minutes. And who cares? Dude, he talks about Nogueira's, the arm break with Nogueira. He talks about Brock Lesnar. He talks about all that stuff, dude. Like, it was like, I text Matt afterwards. I go, thank you for just having me be part of this show to sit through that. Like, those are watching two UFC legends, like, just talk about John Wick and everything else too. And it's awesome. But they were talking about all that stuff. And they talked about, Frank Mir talked about that scene about Arnold when he was holding up the guy, Sully. He's like, I told you I'd kill you last. I lied. I eat green berets for breakfast. Hank Pym. Venom is the worst trilogy of movies I've ever seen. Oof. And it's not even close. 3 massive bags of vomit. Ouch. What's the worst trilogy you've ever seen? Trilogy? I got to see which. Stop. Say Lord of the Rings. Stop that. I got to think of all the trilogies that are out there, but I'm sure there's some horror ones that probably would be. Because you know what it is? I don't know if I've ever seen if they were that bad. I don't know if I've ever seen 3 movies that I'd want to stick around for. I didn't find. I mean, Venom. I don't think Venom's. Venom to me is. I didn't like. There are times that I've been in movies. I mean, especially when we used to watch movies with Ellis, and I was sitting around going, "Get me out of here." I never felt that way with Venom. I'm just like, this is what it is.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's never. How can I say? It's not uninteresting to watch, even if it's not that strong. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I would probably throw in. What am I looking at here? I got one. Oh, the most recent Jurassic World trilogy, 100%.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of them. I thought they were all terrible, equally terrible, and so I would say that's one of the worst trilogies I've ever seen. Even though the last one made $1 billion, so
I wouldn't. I'll tell you, I didn't mind the first one. I hated the second two. The two after them were terrible. But if the first one, I would probably put it in there. If I didn't mind the first one, I actually didn't mind it at all. Shay Markel, who says the 2-hour Lioness season 2 premiere is absolute insanity. TV is equally as good as the silver screen these days. I'm loving this show. Such a wild ride. People love this show. Do you watch it?
Which show is it?
The Lioness, the one with Zoe Saldana, which is the.
Watched it. I got to catch up. That's something Lady Outlaw wants to watch too. So maybe we'll take this week and catch up and then jump into season 2. Because I'm loving Tulsa King. Tulsa King.
Is it pretty good? Season 2? I haven't watched it yet.
A lot of fun, man.
Okay.
I got to see. Yeah.
So Derek Johnson is just putting some support in. Thank you, Derek. Derek, nice to see you again, my friend.
Don't let anyone. Derek, send in all the support. Screw those 2 other guys. Send in all the support you want from me, man. I love you. Thank you. He wasn't there. Mike Joyce. Why was Hulk Hogan popular? It's hard to see why lately. Well, he's not wrestling right now. He was 80s. I mean, you watch that Vince documentary, you find out pretty damn fast. Now, you can say whatever you want about what he's doing over the last 10, 15 years. Separate conversation here. We're talking about as wrestling. Hulk Hogan is the reason why people have their jobs today. Hulk Hogan. We don't have professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan.
No, Hulk Hogan kept the doors open for wrestling because there was no larger. This is the time, that era was a time of superheroes, and the fact that I think you told me this, and then I saw them talk about he was considering Dusty Rhodes at one point. Dusty was big, but he had big personality. He couldn't have done what Hogan did. No way. And Hogan was, for that time, and people like to shit on his in-ring stuff and all that, but he was an amazing performer, and he carried the business for years. Held on too long, but he held it for years. So there was absolutely a reason why he was popular. And I was a Hogan guy too back in the day for sure.
Big time. I mean, I don't, I throw away all my stuff recently, but like at that time, man, there was no bigger Hulkamaniac in the world. I mean, I remember when he lost Ultimate Warrior in WrestleMania 6, I was like 15, 16 when that. Yeah. I wanted to get into professional wrestling to avenge Hulk Hogan. That's how messed up I was in my head and the approach to it, because I really bought into everything. Yes, I knew at some level it was fake, but it was at the beginning and I'm a teenager. I'm a kid, so I don't know how much of this is real and not real. And I loved it, and I wanted to, and I was a big Hulkamaniac fan. And you're right, no one else could. Sean wouldn't have been able to do it. Roddy wouldn't have been able to do it. This is not like this thing. Well, if the Machine had gotten behind him, no. Hulk Hogan and the Machine at the same time, it just was a coming together that was meant to be, and that's why it exploded as big as it did. No one else, not Randy, nobody else would have gotten it.
Randy's my favorite of all time, but he wouldn't have been able to do it.
Not even Flair would have been able to do what Hogan did in the WWE system with Vince at the time.
No. Yeah. Mike Joyce, Sophia with that crowbar reminds me of the Joker, Jason. Yeah, she's just pulling out a performance that is just next level stuff. This is going to elevate her career to the next level for sure. And all of them, I think hers, Renzi Felice, and obviously Colin Farrell, already doing stuff. But like I definitely talked to him about Sophia, and I said it was one of the last things I talked to him about. And I was like, well, let's talk a little bit about her. He said, look, when she was cast, I had seen her in Palm Springs, and I'd seen her in these things, and I really liked her. But I was like, oh, interesting, because he'd read the script. And he's like, I wonder how she's going to do this. And he's like, one table read. I was like, oh my God. He was just like blown away like everybody else was. So
yeah, no surprise. And I thought Deidre O'Connell, who played Penguin's mom, in this,
so good too.
Incredible too. So
yeah.
A lot of
really good. Darth Vader's burnt asshole.
Hello.
Random hot take. cinematic universes like the MCU should end and just go back to making standalone character films. Cinematic universes were successful when they were novel. These films will never be as big as they once were. Now, you can't say they'll never be as big as they once were. You can't say that because you are not immortal. You know what I mean? It could come back around in 100 years from now. You don't know. The cinematic universe, I think, for people that want to give it a rest, and I think that's why DC is doing what they're doing, where they have the Elseworld stuff and the other things that they can do. But the television model and the streaming model and all that has also added to the cinematic universe need. So I don't think it's going away anytime soon, and I don't necessarily agree with it because when it's done well, I'm in. I'm not in right now because I don't care about the story they're telling.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. You got to do it right, like with anything in film and television. You got to do it right, and so it's about execution. Yeah, you've got to get better people. You've got to find the right people, and it's not always easy to do. But the intention there is to kind of lock in a fan base so you can at least have some kind of money to depend on as a foundation going forward to create the things that you're creating. But yeah, I mean, I see the point, but it's not going to stop anytime soon. People have a taste for it if you make it work well, and so. Unfortunately, yeah. And you can't, and tell me, come back and visit me with these comments if the new Avengers movies come out and they make $2.5 to $3 billion. Then at that point, you're like, well, I guess they were as big as they were before, even bigger. So it's very possible.
Very possible. Okay. Next one here from Mad Sinister McCall.
Hey,
Beth, we live in time movie. Venom was kicked off the set for biting extras' heads off. Also, Andrew whispered in Pugh's ear after the love scene. Rocha's right. He's giving all the reports of everything that went down. Day Napper. Happy birthday, Julia Roberts. That's right. And if I'm going to tell you that I knew that, I'd be lying. I forgot. But now that you say that, it makes sense. What's your ideal birthday cake? For me, it's carrot cake. I love carrot cake. You know what? I never did until my wife makes a damn good carrot cake. And she used to make, because my father-in-law loves it. And so she used to make it for him for his birthday and for things. And I was like, whoa, I was like, that's what I want too. I like carrot cake. I like cheesecake. But I used to, as a kid, was a big ice cream cake fan. But I'm not a big cake person. But that's what I'll go for is carrot cake too. It's funny that you say that. What about you, John?
Yeah, I like cherry pie. No, I'm joking. I like the cheesecake. That's my jam. The Lady Outlaw made my butter pecan cheesecake from scratch for my birthday, which I'm still eating, and it's incredible. So yeah, cheesecake is my number one favorite. Carrot cake, I like carrot cake too. I like the German chocolate cake as well. So those are kind of my cakes that I default to enjoy. So that's what I would say.
It's pretty good. Matt Sinister McCall, please don't cast Thanos for Boogie Nights 2. If you do that, that would be, that's poor Heather Graham. Wow. Derek Johnson, thank you, Derek. And thank you, Derek. Cinema Fan 324. How many ways can Art the Clown use a box cutter? It's not pretty, and blood, gore, splatters everywhere. Yeah, you're talking to somebody. You're speaking German right now because I've never seen those movies, and I probably never will. And it's nothing against the movies, it's just not for me. I don't. From what I heard, especially from that scene that Roxy described to me, it's not something I ever want to see. Yeah. You?
No, I've never seen those movies.
Yeah, okay. Callum Fadian, have either of you seen Peaky Blinders? I live in Birmingham, and I saw them shooting for the film on my way to work last week. Keep up the great work. I feel like this is a show you love.
I love Peaky Blinders. Yeah. Peaky fucking Blinders. And I was heartbroken that Stephen Knight left the Ray movie because I love his writing on Peaky Blinders. And so it's a shame that he's off of that. But Peaky is one of my favorite. You want to see Cillian Murphy do great work? Watch Peaky Blinders. There's so many great British actors who roll through there and stuff that actors you're seeing now in these superhero films or these big franchise films. They've got small parts there in Peaky Blinders. So yeah, that's a show that I love. I'm glad the film is shooting finally, and we'll go from there. It's a movie I definitely want to check out for sure. I mean, a show I want to check out. We didn't really talk about the Stephen Knight thing. It happened during the week, John. So it was like
it's back to what we said. You know, how do you feel? Because, you know, she was on Josh Horowitz's show, Daisy Ridley, and she makes it seem like that movie is happening. I feel, did we talk about it, you and I, last week? I don't remember if we did.
It happened after Monday.
Okay, so what I think is going to happen is that I don't think it's canceled. I think it could be, but I don't think it's canceled. I don't think the director's going to stay on board. I think Sean Levy's going to wind up getting it. And I think that what will happen is that because I believe that the Mangold report is true. I believe that he's going to start going to production. I think 2026 summer you see Mandalorian and Grogu. I think December you see Mangold's movie, and then in the following year I think you see the Rey movie hit in May with a new director.
Here's what, I think that's all absolutely makes sense in my mind as well chronologically. I do think the film is going to happen. I don't know if it's Sean Levy who comes in, because I have a feeling Daisy wants to tell a harder edge story, and I don't know that necessarily Sean is the right choice for that. And I think there's where maybe there's some, and that's why you bring in someone like Stephen Knight. It ain't to tell some kind of universal 4-quadrant story. It's to tell a darker story. And I wonder if maybe her husband now might be in the mix to write, because he wrote the recent Magpie film that she's out promoting, and maybe there's a sense that Daisy wants a little bit more control over this project than she had last time. Kathleen Kennedy certainly wants Daisy to be happy. She wants a Ray-led film to be released theatrically. And so I think that's where we might be headed. Don't be surprised if Tom Bateman gets announced as the writer for the film, because he's getting a lot of raves for what he did for Magpie. So I wonder if that's the avenue. And yeah, aren't you surprised at how happy she is talking about it, how smiley she is talking about it?
That Stephen's gone. Yeah.
It's like, why are you so excited?
Because I think that this is what it was. You know, it's very possible what they were and what they do all the time.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, now an MO for Lucasfilm. Hey, we'll have so-and-so write the first draft, and then so-and-so will come in. You know, Stephen Knight, we like what he's done there. Okay, he's going to walk away. That's fine. He's done everything he's needed to do, but he's not going to stay on anymore. Do we have enough from him? Yeah, Larry, let him go. So they look at writers, and so she's like, okay, we have a script. We have the things that we like. She gave her notes on it. What does she care? You know, and I think that it's going to probably hurt the thing, but we'll see. And speaking of Star Wars, and this is from Jean-Philippe Guerin. Hello to you both. Hello, Jean-Philippe. Why don't studios like Lucasfilm? Well, Lucasfilm is a production company, but I know what you're saying. Like, as far as the production companies within the studios, make sure that they have a good script and a director attached before making announcements. It's true. It's very hard being a Star Wars fan right now. It is. It's like being a part of the look. It's like, even though they're in the World Series, it's like being a Yankee fan right now. It's like being an Aaron Judge fan right now. It's like being an Aaron Boone fan right now. Right?
Oh my God.
I mean, like, you look at this. Actually, it's a great comparison to where you've got this. I mean, you got Cole pitching great, and you take him out. Why? Well, because we want to give somebody else a chance now. We're going to do this. A guy who hasn't pitched in months. Why? And these decisions that are made. You're like, well, you have all this other talent. What are you doing this? It's the same thing Lucasfilm is doing. It's like, in the same way that, well, Marvel announces a big thing. This is what we have to do. Yeah, but they have a plan. There's no plan. So the answer, why don't they make sure they have a good script and a director attached? Because they're making stupid decisions. And they've, you know, it is, I say it again. I say it every single time. And I always preface it with this. Not the animation, not the video games, not the books, not those people. They're doing good jobs. Keep everybody there. Get rid of the film and TV people. Not just Kathleen, all of them. Put Filoni back in animation. Get them all out of there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, and that's what we're looking at here that they need to do, and that's the most important thing, is like resetting the table to go forward. And look, what he's proposing, Jean-Philippe, is, yes, in a perfect world, you'd want to do it that way, but you know these studios are about creating hype. But I also think, Kristian, the reason they can keep getting away with this is there's no consequences.
That's right. That's
no
exactly right. You're right.
You announce whatever you want, change directors, change writers, change stars, change the direction, move them around release dates, and there's no consequences. So why would you stop doing what you're doing if you actually don't have any consequences for what you're doing? So
I said this the other day, John. I said, this is no longer on Kathleen Kennedy. It's no longer. You can say what you want. This is Bob Iger's fault. He's letting this go on for as long as he can. Hey, I'm paying $4.1 billion for it. Can I have a movie in 2019? Okay, we made money. Can I have one in 2020? No. Can I have one in 2021? No. How about 2022? Yeah. Oh wait, no, we pushed it back. How about 2023? Yeah, no, we pushed it back. Another one? 2024. No. We're probably not gonna give you one until like mid 2026. Oh, that's cool. And we're going to lose so many different directors and writers, and people are kind of laughing at our product now. And we used to be the one tier over Marvel and DC. We're like really low bottom now. Is that okay? Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead. What else you got? It's stupid. It's like Bob Iger is to blame.
He's like a dad who just lets his daughter or son run wild, and it doesn't, without really realizing the effect it's overall doing to the name, to the brand of the name. So yeah.
Hey, Kathleen just threw her shit on the wall. That's all right. Let her do it.
But it's cute shit.
It's cute shit. She's doing a good job. Go Paul. Sam DeHaran.
Hey.
Support for a fellow football team fan. I'm born and raised in Nova. Whereabouts in VA is Rocha from?
Northern Virginia, Dale City, Woodbridge area is where I grew. It's where we moved to in 1979, and then we were in Arlington, Alexandria before that. But yeah, that's where I grew up. Majority of my life, my mom and my brother and my sister. Oh, my brother, my mom are still around that area. So yeah, right on the DMV. Been there since '79, bro.
Awesome. Shay Markel, I don't agree with Thanos, but I get why he believed he had to get rid of half the living instead of a double resources. The living had a lesson to learn. I think that's a better way to put it.
Even Steve Rogers says, I haven't seen the dolphins or whatever in the bay swimming so happily, without pollution. So come on.
Yep. You got 51 so far, John. Good start for the week. 51. Not bad. Shay Markel. The living will only learn the lesson if memorable. If someone just magically solves our problems without us having to feel the weight of what we're doing, then we don't learn anything. Shay's spitting some knowledge here today.
Well, what?
You want me to read it again?
Yeah, please.
Sure. The living will only learn the lesson if it is memorable. If someone just magically solves our problems without us having to feel the weight of what we're doing, then we don't learn anything. So just by snapping your fingers and making it go away, lesson's not learned. See what I'm saying?
The living said this? Who said this?
Go to bed.
Who said, wait. Who sent the comment? I just wonder who sent the comment.
Shay Markel.
Shay, you're 100% wrong, Shay Markel, because what's the best way to learn it? Losing a family member, losing a friend, losing a loved one, right? Randomly, out of nowhere, because of what happened. You're not going to forget that lesson, are you? You're not going to forget that lesson ever again. And so, so I think your point is mistaken.
You should have been one of Thanos' generals. Isabel, London calling. Just posting this for you on behalf of my dad. Thank you, Isabel. Carlton, he is in Majorca, Spain. Oh, that's awesome. He is raising the glass to both of you for a great show. He's great. And hey, that's amazing. I want to go to Spain. Never been.
Mallorca, motherfucker.
Whatever, Majorca.
Language.
That's the word. I read. I don't pronounce. Shay Markel. Unfortunately, Thanos knew the living respects, and who's going to take up JTE's slack now that he's gone? Shay Markel. Unfortunately, Thanos knew the living respects things that they earned through blood, sweat, and tears more than the things they are just granted for free. He's really going in on it, man.
Grant anybody anything. He killed people's loved ones. Nothing was granted. What is wrong with you, Shay?
Mike Joyce. Who's a player on your favorite team that was incredibly overhyped in their rookie season but failed to live up to expectations? Caleb Williams for me. Ryan Leaf. He's on my favorite team though, but still.
Mike, you're coming for Caleb?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, Mike? He is playing well. We just had a better defensive setup against him yesterday, but he almost led your team to victory if it wasn't for a fluke Hail Mary.
I'll tell you who. He started off really, really hot, and then he just went away. There were two, actually. Okay. Kevin Moss. Kevin Moss? When Kevin Moss hit, everyone thought he was the next Babe Ruth, and then he just disappeared like a fart in a car. Well, I guess he stayed around. Like, what's going on with my glasses? And then the other one was what's his on the Knicks? Jeremy Lin.
Oh, Linsanity. Yeah.
That stuck around for you're like, oh, it was like so hyped going, wait a minute. It was such a cool story. I mean, it still is a cool story, but it was such a cool story where you thought, here's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady was like nobody. Tom Brady came. He was like not even barely drafted, and becomes one of the best quarterbacks of all time, if not the best. Right? And that's what I was hoping Jeremy Lin was going to be. I was like, out of nowhere, here's this bench guy who's lights out, and then he just kind of faded out. He had a good season or two.
Carmelo put the kibosh on
Oh
that.
no, yeah, it's true. It's true.
I don't know. I mean, there were so many terrible picks. Kwame Brown for the Wizards. That was probably the biggest one. Everyone thought Kwame was going to come in and destroy the league. And Michael Jordan rode that guy into the ground, and he left the league within 2 to 3 years, man. That was a sad situation for sure.
All right, next one.
Yeah.
That would be, as I'm going down the line here, that's Vincent Zawada. Wish the Venom movies had a tone of upgrade. I was too, man. I was hoping that it was going to be very different, but it didn't. It was the same. It was the same form.
Yeah, that would have been fun. By the way, Lee Winnell, Wolfman coming out soon. That new trailer, fantastic. So yeah, gotta be updated.
Shay Markel coming back in. Venom may have spotty reviews. I granted a 2 out of 5, which is fair. But at least in its opening weekend, Venom crushed Madame Web's entire global box office and made its production back in a single weekend. That was kind of my point. Was that if I'm Sony, I'm going, oof, at least it wasn't that. So yeah, I mean that's it. It is. It's not what you should be striving for.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, it's not what you should be striving for. Derek Johnson, a lot of my wrestling heroes have broken my heart recently. I got to say, watching that Vince doc, then researching the civil complaint and federal suit, it's insane. Is Vince going to go to jail for a long time? I don't think he will. I think he's got too much money, and I hate that that's how it works. And he's got let's just say he's got friends in high places. He's got friends in high places.
That's the frustrating part of it all. Billionaires get away with it because our country is not set up to freeze their assets and to force them to pay the price for the things that they do, and they're able to run wild. And too many of them run wild in our society. And it's frustrating. And Vince, the same way. The reason he came back was to save his butt, to sell the company and make $2 billion. So he, in essence, is insulated from any consequences. And if they ever indict him on anything, watch Vince become
right.
Like Harvey Weinstein or Suge Knight. All these people all of a sudden have these physical affliction.
Yeah. Well, he did that. He said he didn't do it, but even when he was in the steroids, he had the thing around his neck.
That whole
thing. Armada. Hardy better stop fooling around and make that season 2 of Taboo. Where's that? I never watched that show. Was it any good?
I love Taboo. It's a really challenging show to watch. And I mean, the central premise is he's in love with his sister. So it's a weird little thing. It's an interesting little show, but it was very well done, very well acted. But yeah, would love to see a season 2, but good luck.
Shay Markel, gotta say, I love the Major Tom sequence. That part was cute with the family.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, with the
that was great from the movie. Reese is the only reason to see it, in my opinion.
This is, I believe, John with a fake account who says he says his name is Christian Medard. Says Thanos and Killmonger were right.
I mean, Killmonger was certainly right in a lot of ways. Not maybe the way he went about it at the end, but his complaints were legitimate. T'Chaka, he pulled a terrible move, and T'Challa, in a way, was continuing that legacy of ignoring other members of the black race in other countries. And so I thought it was a legitimate complaint. And I think a lot of people felt Killmonger had good reasonings for what he was doing, but the way he did it was not the best, which makes an interesting villain.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I thought it was so funny because Marvel had this string of just bad villains after bad villains. And I remember going, I was like, he took the title. He's the best villain. And then a month later, Thanos came out. Derek Johnson, did you see the Spider-Man noir set photos? Why even make this movie? Is Sony hoping Disney will just pay a huge amount just to save the Marvel and Spider-Man brand? Regular audiences associate these crap Sony movies with Marvel. I'm holding hope for this movie only because I really loved him. I know he was animated, but I really loved him in that movie. We don't pick the ball, we just dance. It's one of the best lines ever. And I'd love to see what he's going to do, and I want to see if it's going to be unique and how they're going to do it. So I'm not going to cash in and say that it stinks now and that it's crap. I'm hoping it's going to be good.
Well, it's a series, right? So it's not going to be a movie.
It's a
series,
TV show.
Eric,
Right,
so
right.
To correct you on that one. But yeah, I hope it's going to be good as well. And apparently this is what led to Lord and Miller breaking their contract with Sony. So I hope the series is worth it in the end.
Why did they break it? They broke because they didn't like it?
The rumors are that Sony was pushing back on the budget on the show, and that pissed off Lord Miller. I just think Lord Miller realized they didn't want to be on the live action side of things because their animation stuff is great, but live action is a whole other ballgame.
Alexander J. Tatter. Well, but they've done live action before. They did 21 Jump Street. And
Sony.
for
Sony.
And
the Spider-Man.
I see what you're saying. Alexander J. Tattersall. It's unfortunate that there is this need to hold on to what has happened in the past movies. Idolize them a bit just because that is what is done with every movie that makes a lot of money. Yeah, they're trying, as I think John said it right. If it was a great analogy with the band, like that just, hey, here's our new stuff. Like, no one likes the new stuff. Play the old stuff. And that's what they're doing. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Alexander follows that up with, in the comic books, Thanos dies and he comes back over and over. Lots of characters do. Yes, that isn't realistic, and it could spoil things if the comeback doesn't make sense and is handled poorly, but that is the part of the comic book world. These aren't just another blockbuster or classic films like Godfather. They have to be treated and viewed with a different mindset. I don't disagree with that. Though. I mean, I see you shaking your head, but I don't disagree with what he's saying, and I actually agree with him that it's got to be executed the right way. I mean, that's like anything. It just needs to be executed the right way. And you and I could easily say, hey, remember when we talked about this, Thanos? We were skeptical about it, but man, did they make that work.
Comic books are not movies, okay? They're not. It's not the same medium. Stop trying to say, well, it happens in the comic books this way. It should happen in the movies this way. That's not how it works. There's two different mediums.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, the expectations for each of the medium are different. The audience you're appealing to is different. Yes, are there crossovers? Sure, of course. But you can't put the same constructs, or else no one ever dies in the comics. And then when you go see a movie, you're like, what do I care? No one ever dies. They're going to come back. That's not how people get invested in movies. There are two different mediums. And I wish people would make that delineation in their minds. Comic books are something completely different than live action. Why do you think there's such a thing of like, well, what's canon? What isn't canon? No one would care in the comic books world because everything is up in the air and everything can fit and be moved around and reasoned. That doesn't exist in the theatrical side of things. So it's two different mediums. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah,
I understand the reasoning, but it doesn't hold water in my mind.
Fair enough. Dennis Hoffman, not surprised that Stephen Knight is off the Ray movie. Didn't the same thing happen on episode 7 with Michael Arndt? Yes, before J.J. Kasdan made it up on the fly. I can't wait to read Making of Sequel Trilogy one day. Yeah, we'll see if that actually happens. I think that'll probably come out after, Lucasfilm either has a new regime, whenever that is.
I saw our friend and fellow Yankee fan, Johnny Hoey, talk about bringing Kasdan to write the Ray movie. No.
What are you talking about? Why?
No. I love you, John. No.
Lawrence Kasdan? No, he's so far removed from Star Wars.
Not even Jonathan Kasdan. No, Kasdan should write this movie.
No, they're so far removed from Star Wars in general. It's like, I love John. But
I love John.
There are people that are holding on to that hope that the things will go, that love that was always there. It ain't that time anymore. I'm telling you, this thing, it's like, he is a Yankee fan. He knows he should. John's asked me to be on his show a couple times. I got to go on. I'd love to have that debate with him because it's like, there is a time when you got to look at your team and going, when is enough? And this is, as you look at, what's his name? Iger is the Steinbrenners. And he's the Steinbrenners. And it's like, you need a new coach. You need a new coach. And, but, look, I'm not saying get rid of Boone yet. We'll see what happens with this World Series. They get swept? I don't know.
Oh, my God.
I don't know. They get swept? I don't know. But that first, you had that game one. You had game one done, wrapped up, good to go. Leave Cole in, game's over. So, and that's the same thing that Kathleen Kennedy's doing.
You can't give the Dodgers life. Now they have that Fernando passing, even more motivation.
Yeah.
That you can't.
Yeah.
You should have stepped on the net game one. Could have even won game two with that bases loaded situation in the ninth. Didn't get it done. Aaron Judge's going to have a lot of questions.
Yeah, Aaron Judge.
If he doesn't come through, man.
So many into poor guy. I love Aaron Judge. I love him. Sure. He's non-existent in these playoffs. And there's the one that's so great. Might be my favorite one. I saw these Instagram reels, and the one that I've seen that kills me is like the Starship Troopers one. And it's like, I'm doing my part. And you see Soto, I'm doing my part, Stanton. And then there's the one guy, I'm not doing fucking shit. And it's Judge. Poor guy. Alexander J. Tattersall. There are different rules for these fantasy comic book stories. I know producers have to think about getting all seats filled and not just think about the comic fans. Yeah, that's really what it is. Really what it is. To which Alexander keeps, he's got a couple here. He said, but I wish that they would just realize who these are for and really commit to the comic book way of telling stories. Every time they do it, it is worth it. Avengers 1, Civil War, Endgame, Deadpool and Wolverine, even this Agatha show, it's very comic booky. The transitions, the writing, always a good time listening. I see what he's saying, though. He's saying, like, you can still traditionalize it and make it story-wise and make it film-wise, but still be true to the comics. Because Deadpool Wolverine had tons of true comic book stuff in it, for sure. And I think you can do this stuff. And that's the stuff I always hate about video game adaptations, when they go so far away from the actual source material. And I don't know. I agree with what he just said there.
I think you can have comic book elements, of course, 100%. But you have to tell more resonant stories. And I think that's where things are getting connected. Like what you're seeing with Agatha all along. People were kind of bashing the show the first few weeks because they hadn't quite connected the storylines overall so that people felt the humanity of these characters, for lack of a better term. And then you saw it in the last episode for real, all of it really come together. And now people like super invest in it. And that's the difference there. So it's not that there isn't deep resonant stuff being told in the comic book side of thing, but there's a way to tell it while mixing in the comic book elements. So I think we're on the same page, just in a different way.
Christian Madar, the Penguin is getting me so excited for the Batman 2. Oz's speech got me so excited. Is the Penguin the best superhero TV show? Well, I wouldn't call him a superhero. I would, if you're asking, is it the best comic book show? I say it's in the conversation. I'd say it's in the conversation. I have to. You have to.
Do you put it over The Boys? Do you put it over Invincible?
That's what I'm saying. You have to put it in. Because it's always hard for me to say when someone goes, what do you think's better, season 1 of this show that just started or the 4 seasons of something else? Even though, you know what I mean? Like, even though a show has had a bad season here or there, it's because what if season 1 of Penguin is great? They're only going to do maybe 2. When I asked Renzi Felice, he said it's limited. He doesn't even know if they're going to do a second. Yeah. So let's say that they do 4 seasons of it and seasons 2, 3, and 4 stink. And then you can't call it that. So it's very hard to say that.
Are you going to put it over Legion? Or are you going to put it over Batman the Animated Series or Daredevil?
Hard to say.
Like, it's tough.
That's why I say it's in the conversation.
It's in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty damn great. I mean, I will say this. I don't know if there's a show that I've looked forward to watching in the comic book world as much as I've wanted to watch this one. I get that same kind of feeling I did about The Sopranos and Breaking Bad and those things. Like when Game of Thrones, when this show is on, I got to watch it. It's even when I'm reacting to it, it doesn't feel like work. It's like I'm just watching the show because I'm excited to watch the show.
I agree. I recorded my reaction last night. I was like, I had to catch myself that I was just admiring the show.
You forget you're on it.
Acting the way I was. I was like, against yourself.
So Shay Markel. Hey, John, with you being a vet, you're going to enjoy the lioness scenes where military personnel gets their ass chewed. I miss all the mutual suffering.
Respect, Shay. I appreciate that. I can't wait to see that. The mutual suffering is so true.
Josh Needle. If the Thanos rumor is true, then between this and Robert Downey Jr. coming back, the next 2 Avengers movies are sounding like desperate Hail Marys. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I can see where you can say that, but it just it turns out to, again, like how is it going to play at the end? But to be fair, the comic book Secret has all of these characters. It's got everybody. It's like it's a multiverse thing, and you want it makes sense in the same way that I always argued against people that said, why you need to bring Luke Skywalker into The Mandalorian? You're desperate. It's like, no, because he's the only Jedi that really would be around to hear that. It makes sense. So if it makes sense to have them all back in the multiverse and it makes sense, then it could work. But desperation is a real thing. If it just like, well, that's kind of lame.
Well, as someone who recently experienced the joy of a Hail Mary yesterday, let me just say, you can call them Hail Marys, but when you complete a Hail Mary to win the game, people lose their minds. So if they do complete these Hail Marys, you're going to be one of the first people jumping up and down, whooping it in the theater.
You build a career. You Flutie it.
Flutie, exactly. Boston College,
Joey Pedras, which 80s movie deserves a modern-day reboot? I always answer the same thing, and I always say Slugger's Wife every time. Every time. It needs a reboot. I always think movies should be remade that had good premises but were bad movies. Not the opposite.
What about Howard the Duck?
Howard the Duck? Howard the Duck would be a good one. That'd be a good one. But you got to give Leah Thompson a cameo.
Now, of course, 100%.
You're at 63 so far, John. Good start on Monday. Top Dog, Greg. It's kind of crazy. We got 3 Venom movies, and even crazier that all 3 of them suck ass. Give me a hard R version of Venom one day, please. Thoughts? I think as much as I love Tom Hardy, and going back to the other comment before, I want to see him do different things outside this realm. I don't want to see him as Venom anymore in the Spider-Man world, even with Tom Hardy. I want them to do, if they're going to do Venom, do it different. Like he's saying, do it differently. I understand, and it worked for what you were doing with the comedic spin 90s style, but let's get a serious version of him now.
Yeah. I may have heard that some mix in that direction.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Bam 86. They need to do a remake of They Live. I could see it. I could see them doing that. I'm not telling.
Top Rowdy though.
No, not for me. I have a personal relationship with that, but I can see where they would make a remake on that because that movie's like an hour and 25 minutes. It's really short. You could really expand on it, and especially all the shit that's going on with UAPs and all that kind of stuff too, dude. You could do something. You could do something. The question is whether or not they at least a sequel something for sure. You could you could do a sequel like in the world. It just because Keith David I believe Keith David's still with us. He hasn't passed. He's still with us.
Where he's the son of Roddy Piper or the grandson of Roddy Piper?
Well, no, because spoiler for They Live, it looks like he doesn't make it out of the last movie.
Oh, well, maybe he had
unless he did, unless he made it. Yeah, that's true too. Patty Boy, Marvel needs to ride the Deadpool and Wolverine wave. I don't agree with it, but I think they're going to.
Yeah, that was a one-off, man. We built to that. It was Hugh coming back. Like that was again, that's an anomaly of a film. If you're trying to repeat it, you're going to end up like Venom, where they kept trying to capture the magic of the first movie. That was all timing for whatever reason. The factors worked, and they can't recapture it. If you keep going down the Deadpool and Wolverine thing, you're going to sink. You're going to sink before you swim. There's no way.
There's still a comment in here. I'm not sure what it means.
Okay.
So actors don't get to decide who their characters are unless they own the company. That is not even remotely close to truth.
Tell that to Bruce Willis that he didn't have any input on John McClane.
No, it doesn't mean that is no, not at all.
Yeah.
What is true is certain power level of actors.
Yes.
Either yes, or you come in, you just get the role, and you just happen to get the role. You can make suggestions and say, hey, my character might do that. Renzi Felice, by the way, is a newer actor, and he told me he had many suggestions on his character and many things to where they were like, it all depends on who you're working with. There's some people that are going to go, shut up, kid, read the script, shut your ass. Then there's other people who are going to go, oh, I never really thought about that before. That's great. Let's make the character like that. But no, owning the company, I don't know. Maybe I read that wrong. Actors don't get this.
No. Yeah, because I think he's referencing what I said about Daisy, how Daisy has more input than she's ever had before on the character.
She's probably a producer. She's probably a producer on the movie.
Yeah, she said that in an interview.
Yeah, that is absolutely incorrect. Armada, do you think Overlord 2 could ever happen? I really like that movie.
That's a good movie.
It's a really good movie, underrated movie.
I don't think it made money at the box office, so I think it'd be tough to convince him for a sequel.
Really? Yeah, I don't know. No.
Maybe a streaming sequel?
I don't know. I would love to see it though. Armada, is Richard's favorite cake cherry pie? Well, sometimes I like peach pie. Like to throw it up in the air and say, "Oh, it's a sweet peach." Only when I'm watching Mrs. Garrett reruns.
Oh no,
that's right. Support. Thank you, Derek. Armada, who says, with Holland's schedule being busy, hopefully Sony can silently cancel Uncharted 2. That would be great. And then we can get an HBO series adaptation of the game. I would love to see that. I would love to see. It always should have been a TV show, Uncharted. Always. But they're going to make it. Sony will absolutely make it because the first one made money, and they have Tom Holland to do it. Especially, that movie. It's not an Uncharted movie, but it's also not the worst movie. If you're like an Uncharted purist, you're gonna hate it. And I really love those games, but I separated it going, this is not the movie. It's a fun movie, but it's not an Uncharted movie. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, it's fun. It's fine for. I never played the game. It was a fun movie to watch, so I didn't come in with all my expectations. And even I knew it's not that great of a movie. It's fun, but it's not that great of a movie.
Yeah. Okay. Josh Needle, could it be possible that when George Lucas signed the company away, he had it in his contract that Kathleen can't be removed without his approval? Nah, he can't make. That would be a really stupid deal for whoever's making that. So you can have her on there no matter what, and until he says she's time to, you're giving him too much power. You're giving him way too much power.
He sold it was because I think he sold it with the condition that Kathleen would be attached to shepherd it, but not the condition that she couldn't be fired.
Nah, you can't. Who the hell would agree to that? Yeah. Sosa Sammy, over or under 70% that James Gunn will play the Kryptonian song by Three Doors Down in the Superman movie. I don't know enough about it. What would you say?
I don't know. I think it would be. I think you'd see not the original version. I think you'd see a remake of it if it appeared at all. Yeah.
Okay. Derek Johnson. There's a deep discussion to be had if Thanos was right. I lean on the way that he was right. The huge loss is the lesson. It's a desperation that'll make you change your behavior and how you view people, no matter race, wealth, or health. Look at Derek Johnson coming in with the Rocha support.
Well, because look at what's happening now in our world, brother. No matter what you do, there are a lot of people who are like, you know what? I can see the logic. So there's no way that if Thanos did this, there wouldn't be like deep, divisive, huge debates on national networks about whether Thanos was right or not. So, yeah.
Justin Toner, as a Yankee fan, that game 1 loss felt my heart been ripped out of my chest. You and me both. Game 3 tonight is a must-win to avoid a 3-0 hole. You can't lose. You can't. I hate to say it, but it's over. If they lose at Yankee Stadium tonight, it's over. And I know. And even if they come back, I'll say, hey, I was wrong. But odds are. I'm telling you, I was like, it was bad. And John, that Hail Mary for Washington to beat the Bears was insane. Yep. Look at John. He was very excited about that. Shay Markell. Yes, John, my friend, that's exactly my point. Thanos' actions are more memorable than just solving the problem. I love you guys. Thank you, Shay.
Thank you, Shay.
Okay, Armada. I hope Jeff Snyder reviews the Carpenter. What's that? Is that the one? Is that the MMA one? Okay. Yeah. All right. Derek Johnson. My God, y'all, the evidence this time is crazy. I'm not a kink shamer by no means, but this is some diabolical, evil shit he was doing. There's got to be some consequences. I got to try and believe there's some justice coming. He's talking about Vince McMahon. Yeah, I mean, look, justice coming is a different thing than asking if he's going to get jail time. I think he's already. But the thing is, though, and I think a lot of people have said this, would you be surprised if him and Shane started their own wrestling business? Because I wouldn't.
I would.
You'd be surprised?
I don't. Shane, no, I think Shane's going to go AEW if he goes anywhere. Now, there's rumors that Vince might try to buy AEW or might try to start his own federation. There is rumors of that.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely that Vince would start his own federation. I don't think Shane wants to be a part of it anymore.
Yeah. Who goes there? Who would go there?
Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of Vince. Look at Undertaker.
I know.
Crying at the end of the Vince documentary.
But that was 2022. That was 2022 when they didn't interview him after all the stuff went down.
Well, he interviewed someone recently who was not that far away from Vince. So, I mean, there's very strong possibilities. There are a lot of older wrestlers and younger wrestlers who might be like, as an FU to the WWE, would go join Vince. So who knows?
Patty Boy should cast Charlie Frazier as the next Wonder Woman. I don't know Charlie Frazier.
Charlie Frazier?
Charlie, I think. CHRLEE. FRASER. Don't know Charlie Frazier.
I like the idea of Adria Arjona from
she's great
from
too.
Andor.
As one put her in anything. She's I'll watch. Top Dog Rig. What are your honest expectations for Superman in the DCU as a whole? If Superman isn't a smash hit, could you see the whole thing fold on itself? Yes, I could. Because they're building everything around it. They're introducing Lantern stuff in it, and even if the Lantern's TV show is incredible, it's a TV show. You got to have your first movie, and especially if Superman, that's your guy. Superman doesn't hit, at least make its money back. If it doesn't at least make its money back, I know people are going to say like, oh, it just broke even. That's not a big breaking even won't kill it. It's not going to be exciting, but it won't kill it. If it bombs, it kills it.
Man of Steel made money.
Yeah, it did.
Man of Steel made money, and people still wanted to kill it.
It's because we were in $1 billion age, and everybody, it didn't make $800 million. They thought it was a failure.
I'm in a weird place because I'm skeptical of it. I hope it's great. I want it to be great. Do I think it'll make 750 million to $1 billion? I think it's very, very possible because people love Superman. But there are a lot of people who don't find Superman an interesting hero. And Matt Nost, former co-host of the Top 10, not a big Superman guy. So there are people who don't like Superman, won't go see the movie, don't think it's that great. So we'll see. But I see people coming after me who are going like, why are you so negative about James? Why are you so skeptical? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, you haven't seen a frame of it. Yeah, but are you going after the people who think it's going to be the greatest thing ever, who also haven't seen a frame of it? Like, we have to have a healthy discourse of like skepticism and hope. I think there's nothing wrong with that. And so we'll see when we see the first trailer and when it all goes down, if he's got the right tone.
I agree. I'm excited for it. Joyous Rumor. May the force be with you guys. Thank you, Joyous. Appreciate that. All right. So now, Alexander J. Tattersall. Totally. Same page, Rocha. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alexander.
The new. Happy belated birthday to the Outlaw. My 54th birthday is today. Hey, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. As a 35-year-old, I say happy birthday.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Haskell 420. Hey, guys, if Penguin nails the finale and Dune Prophecy, which starts a week later, is also great, what a few months of epic TV we got. Let's go Yankees. Let's go Yankees for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm well, definitely for HBO Max. I mean, they're going to be having a hell of a year if that's the case. I feel Penguin's going to stick the landing, and I'm crossing my fingers for Dune. You hearing anything about that, Dune?
I mean, the new trailer was awesome. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's got a great collection of actors. But it's not going to be the Penguin. I mean, like, I want to make it clear, Dune is going to be a slow burn. So I hope people are ready for it. It isn't going to be all action every episode, or it's going to be a slow burn. And Penguin's a little bit of a slow burn. So I hope people get it.
Yeah.
This is going to be a slow burn.
Alexander J. Tattersall says there are so many stories for them to milk with Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't believe they will just rinse and repeat. Ryan won't. Hugh won't. I mean, it just depends on what they're going to do. I'm just curious of where they're going to make that. Where's it going to land? Where's it going to land?
Hugh and Ryan are going to do. How do you know what Hugh and Ryan are going to do? You have no idea what Hugh and Ryan are going to do.
I don't know. I know somewhere where it's going to land. It's like, does it land before the Avengers? Because if it lands after the Avengers, then it's, then that means that Hugh Jackman is Wolverine again in the MCU. It's like it's weird. Go ahead, John.
Sorry, people are ignoring the negative reviews of the film. Like, there were negative reviews of the film. There were people who rightfully pointed out the numerous plot holes in that movie. This is not a perfect film. Yes, it made money, it entertained a lot of people, but there are a lot of holes in that movie, and they got away with it, right? Keep repeating that, and it's going to sink. That's what I think overall, no matter what stories you're trying to tell.
Gopai, Son Goodharan. Ooh, what about a Howard the Duck remake starring Zoe Deutsch in her mom's role? That would be good. That would be good. She'd be great in that.
Yeah.
She'd be great. And then you definitely have to have Leah come back. It's me, Steve-O. What wrestler would you want to see as a biopic? I always said I still think they should do it. I'd still love to see a Vince actual biopic. Like an actual biopic of all the shit, but him being nowhere near involved. That's what I'd like. I would like to see about all that stuff go down. I'd love to see a Randy Savage one, but it's just the problem is you run into somebody doing an impression the whole time. Ric Flair is someone I'd love to see for sure.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, Flair is probably the choice. Savage is the choice. Miss Elizabeth would be really interesting to see her point of view from Randy to Lex, and then sadly passing. I mean, that could be an interesting approach you could look at. I mean, a Dusty Rhodes biopic would be phenomenal. Yeah, those are interesting characters you could play around with. But look, I mean, the Von Erichs, that's a legendary family. But you could argue that, was it Kerry who's the lead? He wasn't the most popular Von Erich.
Right.
So they made it work because of the other Von Erichs and then his particular story. So there may be other wrestlers who are maybe lesser down the totem pole who'd be interesting to see biopics about because of what they experienced in the world of pro wrestling. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would want to see how they were going to actually, because it's the same thing. I just don't want it to be like fluff, like where you don't actually have, if people are actually involved with it, that, then they're going to be too protective. So I don't know. It just depends on who they would get. Ultimate Warrior would be interesting.
Oof, yeah.
But but then that's why I wish like that when they had the WWE network, they used that stuff for like that, like that's the stuff that I would have loved to see, like biopics like that stuff. Zach Mine talks movies. He says, "Is this the worst year for comic book movies? Thank God for Deadpool. Do you think it is the worst?"
I mean, worst ever? Are we ignoring some of the 90s years of comic book movies?
I'd say probably in the modern era is what he's talking about, right?
I mean, the 90s. You mean the current era?
Yeah, I'm saying since it took off,
I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I'd have to look through the years. I couldn't say for sure. Yeah.
All right. Next one. Derek Johnson. He says, "What's Big Ball's favorite pie?"
What is big? I'm not Big Balls.
Oh, yeah, baby. I am. Come here. Come here. Get over here. Come here.
No.
Come here. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Peach pie. Okay, peach pie is good. But see, I don't sniff around. Well, I do sniff around the bush. Let me tell you something. You want to hear something, Rocha? You want to hear something for real?
Sure, tell me.
You know what I like for pie?
What's that?
Pussy. Hey.
No.
Stop it.
Wow. What do you put it on the nose like that?
Stop
it. Can you be artistic a little bit, Big Balls?
No. Hey, here, look at this.
Okay.
What's the thing? Come on. Relax it.
That's enough.
Relax it.
Yeah,
Come on, get over here. I'll put myself right there. See? And just like that, I own the outlaw.
Oh, my God.
He's gone. He's gone.
Take it.
Poor guy.
I'm going to kill you.
I love that he actually can show up now. I love that you were dodging. If you were dodging, I can't imagine what Roxy's going to do.
Yeah.
Joshua Weissman, big fan of John Krasinski and favorite director is Denis Villeneuve. Great choice. Could you see J.K. as a Jedi, Josh Krasinski, as a Sith or Jedi for a Denis Villeneuve directing a Star Wars film, Old Republic? I don't want to say no outright, but it'd be hard for me to separate him or take him serious in that era. But that's not necessarily fair.
I think that's the truth. It'd be tough to see him in that role, but I mean, it all depends on what Denis wants to do. I just don't think Krasinski is a Denis Villeneuve actor. Like that's not.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Plus, I don't even Denis doing Star Wars will never happen.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. Dancing Dogs 60. Hey guys, I think visually the Metal Man would make a stunning film. Shocked James Gunn hasn't announced them. What say you, DCU? I don't think I know enough about it. Do you know about the Metal Men?
Yeah, I know Metal Men because they're a group. It'd be interesting. Certainly, James Gunn's the guy who could maybe bring it to life with what he did with Guardians and Suicide Squad and what he's going to do with the Authority. So, yeah, there's a possibility down the road. Probably be a limited series, might even be an animated series. But I don't know if he'd do a live action movie about Metal Men, but could be interesting.
Patty Boy, do you think Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby are doing it? No. Isn't she married? She's married.
Pedro's
married?
Do people not know this? I mean, Pedro is pretty much rumored to be gay.
Is he?
So, yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's the rumor. Don't say I said it. Like I'm quoting it.
I haven't heard any of it, but either way, I don't. But the answer is no. I don't believe that they are.
Yeah, no.
Armada, what would you want? Another Deadpool and Wolverine, or another No Way Home? Another Spider. Yeah, if you're going to continue another, I think there's more story. I don't want to see either one, to be honest, but there's more story to tell in the No Way Home stuff with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire than there is with Deadpool and Wolverine.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
We'll find out, I guess, in Spider-Man 4.
Yeah. Alexander J. Tattersall. I think that it is hard for some people to see past the gimmick of a movie. The first one definitely has flaws. I'm just going off the clear joy that they have playing these characters. Well, that's true. They definitely have joy playing the characters.
I think you're going to see Deadpool pop up in other Marvel movies where he's not the star or he's not the focus. I think that's very possible. And then maybe you build to another Deadpool and Wolverine adventure together for whatever reason you build up to. But you can't just do another one. I think you have to build up, you know?
Matt Thomas. What's up, Matt? Haven't seen a frame of Soups, but I've seen it shooting. I'll be there in theater multiple times besides my critic screening. Cleveland's First Son. That's fair. The question I always say about that, because I do, and I happen to be on the same page with Matt, that if it's good, I'm going to see it more than once as well, because I love Superman.
Yeah.
But I've been in that position where I think that, oh, I'm going to see this movie 5 times. And I've been like, no, I want to see it and watch that. Joker 2. I could have, from that trailer, I'm like, oh man, I'm going to be back in here to see this movie a couple times. I'm like, I don't even want to watch it on digital. I don't even want to watch a trailer. So it's like, no, but that's not to say that this is going to happen. I understand what you're saying, man. Like and especially being Cleveland, but I'm hoping that I'm on the same page as Matt, that we're both like, yeah, let's go see this 1 billion times.
Yeah.
And James Gunn wants that too.
Yeah. I want it to be good.
Yeah. Francisco Lopez.
Hey,
Rocha, are the Geek Buddies going to do a live spoiler review for Agatha? And I want to see an Eddie Guerrero biopic. That's a good one too.
Eddie's a great choice.
Great choice. Yeah.
Possibly. We're working on it. Maybe we'll do it Friday, or Thursday, depending on the situation. But I'll let you know. Follow me on social media for sure.
Derek Johnson, did Big Balls just drape his balls on Rocha?
Yeah.
We're
not doing that.
We won't do that again. You can swat him away next time.
Yeah.
Derek Johnson, support. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Derek.
And then we go to
right now? How many are we at right now?
I'm going to tell you in a moment.
Okay.
Jake Acavetta in the house.
Jake!
So he says, I'm glad to see Big Balls drape Rocha after all the times he said he was going to run it across Garth's RIP forehead. Hello. The great Garth.
I loved it. And then I never did it, though, did I?
No.
So,
well, Big Balls is someone who needs to be arrested. You're at 95, my friend. You're almost at 100. You're almost at 100. It's a big start. It's a big start. It's going to be hard for people to beat. Dancing Dog 60.
Solo, by the way.
Yeah.
So suck it to all you duos coming up later on this week.
That's right. Roxy's all by herself tomorrow.
Oh, good.
So,
Respect to Roxy.
So we'll see. Guys, what's your favorite Die Hard ripoff? Mine is Sudden Death with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Closest to Seagal in a ship film. Yours? The Seagal one on the ship film, Under Siege, is great. Mine's actually the first. Is it now? White House Down is the one with Channing Tatum, but Olympus Has Fallen. Olympus Has Fallen. That's
that whole series is good, man. All of each one of those episodes, each one of those installments are good installments.
Yeah,
I like that series. Yeah.
Okay. So this is
Speed. Speed is another.
Speed is a good one too. Yeah. Alexander J. Tatterstall with the last one of the day, unless 4 more people get you to 100. Same page. Build to a story every time. Just don't do it right away. Let them both be in some movies as NPC, not main character. Yeah.
Yeah. Because people forget they built up to the Deadpool Wolverine thing by having Deadpool mention Wolverine in the first movie with stapling his face on from the magazine, and then the second movie mentioning and doing even more. So they built to this Deadpool and Wolverine reunion or get together in that movie. So you've got to build to it if you're going to do it again. Agreed. Yeah.
I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I'm just saying I'm sorry. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Do you forgive me? Come on. I'm not going to do it. I'll just say it right here. Look, just do me a favor. Look, don't be it. I'll go right here. Yes. Just don't cancel me. And don't tweet at me. Please,
all
okay?
Right.
Don't worry. I'll stay right there. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. Bye-bye.
Where are you? Wait, no, get out of there.
What? I'm over here.
Oh, all right.
What, do you think I was going to steal your snacks?
Don't go a little lower. What's that noise?
In the background. Hey!
There you go.
The cop.
The cops are coming to get him. Kai, actually, Margot Robbie turning down Netflix's $150 million offer for Wuthering Heights is just bad business. No chance that movie makes more than $50 million. I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that either. Is that true? Because she was pretty much locked up to do it with was it a Lordy or something like that?
She's also pregnant.
Yeah.
Or she's about to have her baby, or she just had her baby, or granted they could wait, but she might want to. She comes across to me as someone that would actually say, you know what, I'm taking some time off. I'm going to spend some time with my kid.
Oh.
And I don't know if that's the case. I could be making that up.
Well, it could be that she was fighting for a theatrical release.
Oh, and then she backs. Well, you know what's funny, because you know that was going down potentially with Greta Gerwig and the Narnia films.
Yeah, the Narnia stuff.
And so that makes sense that they're tight. And she's like, okay, you know what? You don't want to do theatrical? You're not doing. And it's going to start to bite Sarandon in the ass a little bit now if these actors start getting together and say, hey, bail from these things now. Everybody start going for and start to strong arm Netflix. I can see that happening.
So it happened because Margot Robbie essentially put Warner Brothers between a rock and a hard place, and they gave in. And it is going to be a theatrical release. So she hasn't left the project. She's a producer on the project. So she won them over, and it is going to be a theatrical release. So there you go.
I want to make sure that as I go through this, give me your thoughts real quick on Greta Gerwig, guys. I'm just because someone said that I missed one of their things.
Oh, Greta, yeah,
the Narnia thing,
yeah, I think she opened the door to leave this project. This is something Jeff has been saying on the hot mic for a long time. He did not understand after the success of Barbie why she would go to do a Narnia adaptation. It didn't make sense. Now, I know there's a lot of you who enjoy the Chronicles of Narnia. It's great books and all. It's not saying like the quality of the art, but business-wise, brand-wise, it doesn't make sense to move on to the Narnia, especially streaming on Netflix. Like, it doesn't make sense. So the fact that she is starting to raise issues, or we hear her that she's starting to raise issues that's not getting a theatrical release, to me, this is the opening of her walking away from this project. And because I think even she's realizing, okay, this wasn't the best step, because she probably didn't think Barbie was going to make $1 billion. And now that it has, you've got a whole nother cachet in Hollywood for the projects that you can do. Going to Narnia on streaming doesn't seem to make sense for what she wants to do as a director. So yeah, I think this is her opening the door to leaving. And I think Jeff saw that as well.
I just went through all your ones, Armand. I saw the 4 that you went. We answered all of them. Put it in the regular chat of which one, but I'm pretty sure we got all of yours. And then we do have 3 left here, John.
Hey,
you're getting some more. So this is from Frankie C. What if the MCU adapted the Ultimate Ultron story from the What If animated series? I would love if they did that, but they're not going to do it. I think that they would be a great cinematic experience. I hate that they left it alone. And they just didn't even do anything with it. That was the best part of What If. Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. It seemed odd, but I think there is a season 3 coming, so maybe they'll circle back to it.
Maybe. So, Top Dog Rig. I watched Blue Beetle for the first time today, and I enjoyed it. Me too. Family dynamic was great, and I hope Xolo Maridueña comes back in some way. Well, they said he was supposed to, and then he's supposed to come back in Marvel now too.
Yes, I mean, didn't they say that Booster Gold Blue Beetle thing's going to happen with Kumail and Johnny as Booster Gold? So we will see if that happens.
We answered your thing about Snyder seeing the Carpenter. We said, is that the one? Because he says you're going to see it, and then I was like, that's the Jesus one. And you said, so you don't know if he's going to see it or not, right?
Nobody messes with the Jesus. No, I have no idea if he's going
to. This is the last one. Prizzy, an actor who I thought was going to be huge, was Daker Montgomery from Stranger Things and Power Rangers. Elvis. He seems like a real actor. I've interviewed him twice. Yeah, I'll tell you, he left his entire team and now works strictly on indie projects. So he was. You remember he did the Power Rangers Schmoedown.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yes.
He did the Power Rangers. He was also a big, I played skeet ball against him at Fandango. He was really competitive, and we had a blast playing. I beat him and Justin Timberlake, which I'm very proud of. So I was on fire that year. I was on fire. I got like 5 in a row. I was on fire. But he is very intense dude, very chill dude. But yeah, I think he's very talented. I'm surprised that he didn't do anything.
Well, I mean, like you said, he's probably finding the projects that work for him, and Stranger Things was massive. And so that launched him into something else. So we'll see where he goes. But I think it's good that an actor knows who they are and where they want to go.
Yep.
And if releasing your team as a young actor, that's not an easy thing to do. And so clearly he has a very strong opinion of where he wants to be. I think there's respect for that.
I give him respect for it too, especially if it's, if it's like, hey, I'm not getting the roles and not doing it. All right, John, you're at 107. You have set the bar here today. Going to be tough for by yourself. We'll see you, Roxy.
Well, with Kristian Harloff, of course.
Well, of course.
114 for a double is laughable.
You have the record. You still hold the all-time record. I think it was at 132 or something. So it was like pretty crazy. And I lied. It's 108.
108?
Yeah, Derek just threw in something. So
thank you, Derek.
Yeah. So. All right, John, quick, tell them what you're doing today. Where can they find you? What's going on?
Yeah, might be going live later on today, so look for me and make an announcement on that later on after the Yankees game, for God's sake. Got to watch that game. But you can come join me on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. youtube.com/John Rocha Says. I love you guys contributing, but come over and subscribe to the channel. Get me to 50,000 subscribers. Please, would appreciate it. And I've got the Geek Buddies review of The Penguin coming out in about maybe half an hour to an hour. It'll be out there for you all to enjoy as well. Thanks for having me on, Kristian. I appreciate it. Thanks to everybody on a Monday. Have a great rest of your week.
Get out of here. We'll see you next time. John Rocha, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. As soon as I get done here, I'm going to be hopping over and start to edit some of those clips from the Matthew Lillard interview. Put them on the Chips channel? Sure. Clips channel. So if you haven't subscribed to that, do that. If you're into the UAP phenomenon, I'm going to have my another video up there pretty soon. So we got a lot going on. We have live shows. There's no out of the theater reactions. I'm probably going to do, for the time being, I'm probably just going to do one movie reaction a week for the time being until I just get there's a lot going on right now. But then sometimes I shouldn't just say definitively one. Sometimes it could be two. Sometimes it could be one, but definitely one. And I'm trying to get Sam in here this week to watch Warrior, and we're going to try to do that one. That's the goal. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who contributed today, and thank you everybody who put your comments in there and all that and more. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. We'll be back here tomorrow. It's me and Roxy. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye. Bye.